support our local football teams.
BBC Radio T Sport.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Drury, and this is BBC Radio T Sports. Well, the schools might not have broken up for their summer holidays yet, but our football clubs are back at it and warming up for the new season. And so are we. We start here at Hartlepool United as Pools welcome Championship neighbours Middlesbrough for their first friendly of the summer. We'll talk about what the future holds for both clubs with our expert summarisers, former Middlesbrough midfielder Neil Maddison and the former Pools captain Mickey Barron, while Rob Law will bring you commentary on the game when it kicks off at 7. And as always, we'd love to hear from you too. Get in touch with your predictions for the season by calling us for free on 08000 85 95 95. You can text us on 81333. Start your message with the word tease. You can do the same on WhatsApp on 08000 321 333, and you can tweet us as well at BBCT Sports.
BBC Radio T Sports.
So welcome everyone to a wet and a windy and a not particularly warm Suit Direct Stadium. The marina is wreathed in cloud. It is not the picture you imagine when you talk about pre-season football, but here it is. And Neil Maddison sat to my right here in the press box, looking out over the pitch and the Cyril Knowles stand opposite. It's good to be back, but I was hoping for sun cream rather than the big coat.
Yeah, you normally have the shorts on, don't you? You've got the cap on. No, yeah, weather-wise, it's cold, windy, and really wet. So, but it's a game that we're looking forward to. You know, a little local derby pre-season, and I always say this: you've got to start brightly, and you want to start brightly against whatever opposition you play. And from our point of view, Middlesbrough, you know, we have to get about these and put on a show and try and get a result. And I'm not just saying that purely for a club. You have to, as a player, Mickey will know exactly the same. You want to start brightly as a player. You want to get into the manager's head. It's as simple as that.
Well, the Mickey that Neil refers to is sat just to his right, Mickey Barron. Welcome to the BBC Radio T Sport team. Lovely to have you.
Thank you very much.
What a place to start for you.
You thought this was glamorous.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a venue that you know so well. You know every blade of grass out there. You probably know the weather a bit as well.
Yeah, I've seen it like this quite a number of times in my career, but not normally in this time of year. It's normally in December when it's like this. But yeah, really looking forward to the game. I think, like Maddo said, these pre-season games are about fitness, but you do want to show what you can do straight away to the manager, and it's tough for the Hartlepool team, I think, because you're not going to have much of the ball tonight, but you can still show what you can do when you haven't got the ball. Have you taken on the instructions that he's asked you for the game today, and then you can try and show him what you can do when you do get possession of the ball.
And lest anybody forget, these are two of your old clubs. Clearly you are a legend at Hartlepool United, but I remember you playing for the Borough. I remember reading your secret diary and flying me to the moon.
Yeah, I never really had anything to do with that, but I remember it.
I know you didn't. It made good reading though.
I'm pleased. Yeah, you must have a good memory if you remember me playing for Middlesbrough, but yeah, someone said today this is the Mickey Barron derby, but I'm not too sure about that.
Well, great to have you here, Mickey.
Thank you.
Obviously we're going to talk about Pools and what the season holds for them. We'll talk about Borough and their prospects for the Championship and hopefully another challenge for promotion to the Premier League. But Rob Law will be commentating on tonight's game. Rob, lots to talk about this evening. Raj Singh has had a few words to say in the pre-match digital programme, but you've got, I believe, the Pools team, haven't you?
Yes, still waiting on the Borough team, but we expect it to be the majority of the academy players, maybe not so many debuts from the new signings this evening, but we'll wait and see. As for Hartlepool United, four debuts. Joel Dixon, who makes his second debut after initially spending some time here on loan, he starts in goal. There's a back 5. The wing-backs of Brodie Patterson and David Ferguson, with Dan Dodds, Matty Dolan and Eden Pruti in the centre of defence. Kieran Wallace makes his first start in the blue and white stripes after arriving in the summer from Mansfield. He is alongside Callum Cook and a trialist, so that's going to be fun. And the two up front of Chris Ray, the son of Christopher Ray, who once pulled on the shirt for Arsenal. He makes his debut after joining from Southend. He starts up front alongside another man making his debut, the 6'5" signing of the summer so far, Manny Desirue, who arrived from Halifax, got 13 goals last season, and many believing that both the arrival of him and Chris Ray could potentially see the end of Josh O'Meara, who isn't even on the bench this evening for the game. So does that mark the end of him at Hartlepool United? We will find out after the game. On the bench, Pete Jameson, Kieran Burton, Tom Crawford, Michael Njoli, Joe Gray, Jake Hasty, and two other mystery trialists.
It is that time of year.
Yeah.
It is. The Borough team, I can tell you, Liam Roberts is in goal. Then it will be, in no particular order, George Gittow, Terrell Aguiman, Dale Fry, Hayden Hackney, Riley McGree, Jeremy Sivvy, Sonny Finch, Paddy McNair, Bryant Belongo and Marcus Fours. That is the starting 11 for tonight. I was expecting to see the name of Matt Crooks there, who was my studio guest last night, but nowhere to be seen, not on the bench either. So
recovering from Magaluf?
Possibly. Isn't everyone at some stage or another?
Yeah.
But there's, the bench is very unfamiliar, as Neil Maddison will attest to. But that is the Borough starting 11. We'll form that into some sort of order in a few minutes' time. But before we talk about Middlesbrough and their prospects for the forthcoming season, Rob, the chairman's notes, Raj Singh, what has he had to say of note?
I've said this a few times in the last couple of seasons, but whenever you arrive at the back of the Neil Cooper stand, one of the first things you have to do is check the programme notes, because there's always little nuggets in there, and boy oh boy is there a nugget or two in this time. So Raj Singh addressing the Hartlepool United supporters. Now, for those who aren't familiar, at the back end of last season, as Pool's relegation was pretty much confirmed with defeat against Crawley here, the chairman then went on, did an interview with the club on their YouTube channel, where he effectively said that the club was up for sale. So Raj Singh this evening giving this update in his programme notes. He says, as we expected, we've had a lot of time wasters. For example, someone showed interest 8 to 9 weeks ago. We met with them 4 weeks ago, and we were told in no uncertain terms that they had tens of millions of pounds available in their company, and that they would deposit funds with their solicitors within a week to 10 days to show that they were very serious about buying the club. They also claimed they'd invest the money and have the club in League One in 3 years' time. 4 weeks on, and we are still have no confirmation. So this week we've closed the door on that party now. He goes on to say, at this point in time, there is only one prospective purchaser that we are in dialogue with. As much as we are hopeful, I'm not holding my breath on that deal either until we see some hard cash being deposited with their own solicitors. So I suspect it's not the first, and it's very much not the last we will hear about prospective buyers from Raj Singh.
And Mickey, 8 weeks since the end of the season, or slightly over for Pools, it's been the story of the summer, hasn't it, for every Pools fan? Will the club be sold? When will the club be sold? Will Raj Singh possibly actually change his mind at some point? He's still here. What difference, if any, does that make to John Askey and to the players who are going to try and get the club back out the National League?
Yeah, if you think 8 weeks isn't that long a time, it took me and my wife 8 weeks to buy a new settee, so if you're going to buy a new football club, it doesn't sound that long. But it'll all depend on sort of what he is expecting, what his opinion of the value of the club is, and if he can't sell it, how much he's going to back the manager. How much is he going to say, right, well, I haven't sold it, these are now the funds available to try and get us promoted again, and help John with a budget to do that. So the statement's quite cryptic and quite depressing and not that positive if you read between the lines of it. So hopefully dialogue with the people can still take place and something could happen, but I think for me at the moment it's trying to get the funding in place to allow John to try and get the players in pre-season and have a really good start to the season.
And you know, you've as well as obviously being a legend on the pitch here, you spent so much time in management here, didn't you, in different roles. For the most part of your time here, it was in a period of unprecedented stability and success, wasn't it? But times did change and you had to deal with more of this sort of thing. What difference does it make to John Askey? How easy is it for him to concentrate on just managing and coaching?
I think he'll be alright when he's out on the training pitch and preparing for games. I think the tough thing is, and me and Rob spoke about this during the week, is do you know which players are going to stay? Not necessarily which players you're going to bring in, which players are going to stay. Are you going to get the money if there's fees involved if they do leave? And then being able to create your team around that. So I think the key thing is if players are going to leave, that they leave relatively early, and then money that they do get in, can that be invested again into his team? If he's not going to get any money, then he's going to have to look at a different sort of set of players to get them prepared for the first game.
Okay, it is 6:15. You're listening to BBC Radio T Sport live at the home of Hartlepool United this evening, where Pools are taking on Middlesbrough in a pre-season friendly, first of the summer for both of our clubs. Let us concentrate on the Borough for a few minutes now, because it is a few days short of 2 months since Middlesbrough fell agonisingly short of a shot at the Premier League in the Championship playoffs. And Gyökeres might be free through the middle here, outside the area. Stefan came out, he didn't get there. Gyökeres is pushed wide. Hamer on his right foot. The throw is into the top corner. Gustavo Hamer opens the scoring for Coventry. They've made the breakthrough. Borough created a mess for themselves at the back, and Gustavo Hamer has made them pay. It's Borough 0, it's Coventry 1. Neil Maddison, speaking of Matt Crooks last night, we'll hear a bit from him later. I asked if he'd got over it, how long it took him to get over it. He said, well, I had a grumpy week and then Magaluf sorted me out. Are you over it yet?
Yeah, I think, you know, as players, you get over it quite quickly. You're looking forward to the end of the season. The disappointment is there and it hurts in that first week or so, but you quickly get over it and you readjust and you look forward to the next season.
And what a season it could be. And the Championship, we've talked about it before, but you look at the clubs in it now, the clubs who came down, the ones who came up from League One, it just looks strong, doesn't it? Big, traditionally powerful English clubs. It's set to be another arm wrestle, another scrap, isn't it?
It is. You know, I think the business that we've done so far, I think most Borough fans will be quite happy with it. But I heard the manager talking about experience, and I mentioned to you, you know, before he did, I thought, you know, you're bringing these lads in and you're hoping that they absolutely fire and they start quickly. But the one thing I would like to see, that know-how, that real experience is massively important in the Championship, and I think a few of them players are needed.
The signings that have come in so far, Seny Dieng in goal. He's not in goal tonight. We'll see if he is tomorrow at York. He's the experienced one, isn't he, really? The rest, it's all promise and youth, isn't it, largely, so far?
It is, yeah. I think Seny Dieng is a keeper that we all know. You know, shot stopper, comes out,
goal scorer.
Yeah, and comfortable with his feet, and we all know how Michael Carrick wants to play. You know, we're going to play from the back, we're not going to launch things. You have to mix your game up at times, but the majority of the time we are going to play from the back and we're going to try and get things going from there. So he's brought a keeper in who is comfortable with his feet. You know, then you've brought the centre forward in, you've brought a centre half in, which I thought was important as well, just to bolster that back. But the centre half that you brought in is Rav van der Berg, is it?
Yes.
You know, I'm looking forward to seeing this guy. I think
there's a lot of excitement about him, isn't
I'm
there?
looking forward to seeing him. I think he brings a little bit of pace. I wouldn't say experience, but hopefully he'll gain that experience. But I just feel there's a few areas. Mickey was talking about who's going to start the season, and that's the case for us at this moment in time. I think you're looking, will a few players go to balance the books? I think a few players will leave, and you're looking at them players, and the talk is obviously the big one, which everyone thinks, well, let's try and get him signed. Let's get him signed to the football club. And
who is the big one?
Well, I don't need to talk about this. If we can get Chuba signed, I think it makes a huge difference to your plans and to what you're going to do. And then you're looking around, and also as well, you look at the people that have been out on loan, the people that have come back. I think them players want to try and prove a point. Them players that come back in and then stay at the club will want to fit into. I think he's a manager that you would love to play for. You heard Tuba's talking about him last season. He's changed my life in terms of the way I've played.
The manager I've been waiting for, he described him as.
And I just think, I look at Martin Piero, and when he was back, I thought, you know what, this is a good thing, because it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with him. Does he stay at the football club? Does he impress Michael Carrick? I think the manager at this moment in time now, Michael Carrick, will get the best out of him. And I've watched quite a lot of his games, Martin Piero. I've watched him over in Argentina
at Boca Juniors,
playing his trade, playing his football. That league is similar to the Championship. It's hustle and bustle, the tackles are flying, it's quite quick. And I've watched some of his games, and he hasn't played all the games, by the way. He's had a few injuries as well, but I think there's something there. And I think before he went out on loan there, he was just starting to tick a little bit. He gets that goal at Cardiff, and you're thinking, well, there is certainly something there. And I think under Michael Carrick, he might just prize out that little gem that we all believed that was coming to this football club. And I think there's a lot more mileage in Martin Piero. It all depends if he stays. It all depends if he is a Middlesbrough player this season. But for me, I would like him to stay, because I think the manager will. I'm hoping he does wonders with him.
You and I spoke, was it last week, earlier this week, I lose track, but we were talking about the areas that Borough will be looking to strengthen in. Up front, I think everybody is in agreement that's where they are looking, but midfield and left back. The stories Scott Wilson was writing in the Northern Echo saw that Wolves look like they're going to be selling a left back who isn't Ryan Giles, which would make the job harder for Borough to get him back. So potentially there's an opportunity for somebody who's already at Borough to stake a claim there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I mean, Hayden Coulson's come back in and he's with the first team now, but I just think you look at all the loans that went back to their clubs, and would you have all of them back fit? Absolutely, I would take them all back. Giles, Archer, Ramsey, I'd have them all back in a heartbeat, because I just think they changed our season. Come Christmas time, when you got them in, I just felt that there was a different look about it. There was a different feel, and the way the manager got us playing, the way they fitted into the side. Obviously Ramsey was injured when he came, but as soon as he fitted in, as soon as he come back, for me he's a top player, and I would have them back in a heartbeat, every single one of them. Whether you can get them back or not, and whether they want to come, is a different matter now, because Archer scored goals in the 21s and did really well. Ramsey will be looking to play at Villa, but are they going to be playing at their respective clubs? You were talking about Giles there at Wolves. The Premier League's a different league altogether. It's a different type of standard, and you get found out really quickly if you're not up to scratch with it. And I think all three of them are top quality Championship players that I've just mentioned there. I really do. I think they can fire in the Championship. Whether you can do it in the Premier League, well, time will only tell. But I think as a Championship player, I think I would certainly have them back.
Well, one player who will definitely be here this season is Matt Crooks, who I had in the studio as my special guest last night on BBC Radio T Sport. Just the other day, the 29-year-old put pen to paper on a new deal, and he says it was an easy decision.
Something that I wanted to do. Really enjoyed my time here. I feel like it just suits me as a person, the club in general, and my family are happy here. I said that before, it was massive for me. My kids are getting into schools, into nurseries and stuff, and that was big for me, like moving forward on the human side of things. So perfect for me, and hopefully it works for the club as well.
Yeah, so it's been a couple of years putting down roots, you might say.
Yeah, I know.
That isn't even meant to be a tree pun.
I said yesterday to my dad, it's the first time I've ever renewed a deal.
Is it?
At a club, yeah. So I don't know whether I'm not very good or I'm really impatient. It's one or the other. We'll find out soon, I guess.
Or maybe people haven't recognised your talents previously, Matt. Could be that too.
Possibly.
Just on the signing of the new deal, and obviously, you said it's the all-round decision, for your family as well as for your career. Mm-hmm. Quite straightforward decision in the end? Yeah,
it was pretty easy. As long as the club wanted to do it, then I did myself. Like I say, we're really at home here as a family. I'm enjoying my football. Obviously, last season didn't play as much as I did in the season before, but obviously now's a new season. I feel like I'm fully healthy, fully fit, and I want to play a big part on the pitch as well. So now I'm looking forward to it.
There's Matt Crook speaking to me last night on BBC Radio T Sport. He was great company. If you want to listen again, then go to BBC Sounds, last night's BBC Radio T Sport, and there'll be a link on the BBC T Sport Twitter feed as well. We are going to look at the prospects for Hartlepool United next. This is BBC Radio T Sport live at the pre-season friendly between Hartlepool United and Middlesbrough. The rain is continuing to fall pretty heavily, and it's a gusty wind here on the coast. Now, the last time Hartlepool United played here, they were a Football League team, but although they beat Barrow, it was the day their fate was sealed.
The full-time whistle goes. It ends Hartlepool United 3, Barrow 1. Pools coming from behind to claim a vital win, and their final win at home this season. Now all eyes are drawn on results elsewhere.
There it is, confirmation that it's finished. Crawley Town 0, Walsall 0 at the Broadfield Stadium. Hartlepool United will be playing National League football next season. Their time in the EFL lasted just 2 seasons, and it's over today with 1 game to spare, unfortunately.
So a return to the National League for Hartlepool United. Rob Law was commentating that afternoon. You heard his voice there. Rob, you of course were commentating the last time Pools were in the National League, and you know just how difficult the job it is getting out of it.
Yeah, don't remind me. Yes. It's a slog, isn't it? I mean, it's a nasty league, and it can suck you in, and it can finish you off. I mean, Southend United are a prime example. They are very much on the brink at the minute. That's one of the reasons why Chris Ray has arrived at Hartlepool United. Pools went in there and made the most of that situation. But yeah, it's a horrible league. Nobody wants to be in this division. As much as Pools got out of it in the past, there was a lot of things that went in their favour in that time. They had to go in their favour for that to happen. It is a big ask. I think that you're in single figures when you look at, you can probably count on one hand the amount of clubs who have gone down and bounced straight back up. It is that difficult. Pools are going to need an awful lot of luck. They're going to need some real quality, and don't get me wrong, 3 of the signings that they've brought in Kieran Wallace, in Manny Desiroué, for a start, Pete Jameson as well. 3 quality signings, but they're going to need that and more in order to stand any sort of fighting chance, because it's just a horrible division.
Looking forward to it then.
I can't wait.
Are we selling it to you, Mickey?
Yeah. I say, Mickey, you must be really loving the fact you've arrived at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream, doesn't it? I was just following up from what Rob said there. I think sometimes as well, the grounds as well make a difference in the league. Some of the grounds that you have to go to, you think you've played in the league for a long period of time, and now you're dropping down, and some of the grounds are sort of hard to get motivated to play in, so I think the one thing they can do, if they're not going to have a massive amount of money, or they're not going to have can they find a way of playing? Can they find something different to do on the pitch? Can John find a way of making them challenging without really having to spend lots of money? So hopefully that's something they can do. Maybe have a look at different things in pre-season, or get an identity of how they're going to play.
And Mickey alluded to one name there that gives everybody at this club hope, which is John Askey. The fact that he pledged his future to the football club, there were some question marks whether he would stay. He came out afterwards and said, look, yeah, I want to be here, I'm committed, I'm going to stay. And I think that for a lot of Hartlepool United fans, made them think, okay, at least, if nothing else, at least we've got a manager who has a track record of getting out of this division. And we saw glimpses last season when he came in for those 8 games.
I was going to say, he did make a difference, didn't he? It's just, clearly it wasn't a big enough difference to save them.
Yeah, and it didn't happen as soon as many kind of wished that it would, with Keith Curle going out and John Askey coming in, and there was reasons for that. John Askey was tied up with York City and whatnot, so it wasn't as simple as, you know, hindsight is wonderful, isn't it, after the fact. But the fact that Pools have John Askey in charge is massive for everyone's belief going into this new season.
The clubs, just the grounds you mentioned as well, Mickey, or that fact of some of the grounds you go to are hard to get up for.
Google Oxford City.
Well, yes.
And look at that.
However...
That's incredible.
However... we all know what Rob's been doing the last few weeks.
Yes.
However, there are still some big old clubs in the National League, aren't there? I mean, obviously Scunthorpe went straight through last season, but you've still got Rochdale, you've still got Chesterfield, you've...
Barnet will be there or thereabouts this season.
Barnet, Oldham, of course. You know, it's not quite the dog and duck, is it?
No, it's not. But I just think sometimes when you have played in the league, it's almost like some of the games are like FA Cup games, you know, when you go into the lower. But you've got to get used to that. I think the players have got to get used to that. And as soon as they can do that, the better, really. And I think you never know, in that league, some of the teams that have come up sometimes go on a really good run as well, and surprise some of the more sort of teams that have been there and done it. So I think in every league and every division all around the world, if you can get off to a good start and get a little bit of momentum, it just kicks your season on. It's always difficult to try and catch up. So momentum for me is the key.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the start for any club is massively important. Both clubs here playing tonight, you know, the league starts in a 3 or 4 weeks time. The quickness to get about, to get points on the board is massively important. It stands you in good stead. If I was John Askey tonight, we're the neighbours. I'll be looking at the team sheet now and looking at some of the players that you don't know. George Gattu, right back. Good player, by the way. Quality on the ball, quick, and he's tough as anything. Then you've got Brian Blongo, who can play left wing back, left of the 3 centre half. I mean, he is rapid, 6'4". You know, he's staying, but I tell you what, he's a tough kid. Come in, so you've got certain players, obviously. You look at Sonny Finch, who's been in and around the first team as well. Sonny playing off a centre forward up top. He's rapid. He's as tough as all boots as well. So if I was John Askey tonight, I'll be looking and just trying to pinpoint and build their relationship with these clubs.
And having a quiet word at full time?
No, absolutely. I think you've got to do that. I think, and these players also as well. These players need that experience. You know, there's 21 football, and don't get me wrong, I think sometimes you know when they've got to go out, but I think also as well, to get that loan experience at a football club, go away from your football club and experience the low league life, what it's all about. You know, you come back and you think, I tell you what, it was tough, but I really enjoyed it. Or you say, it's not for me, I want to stay here. And it gives you that little bit more of a bite to work hard and
Hayden
do well.
is the lesson at Middlesbrough, isn't
it? Yeah, I mean, Hayden...
who struggled like hell in that Scunthorpe team, but it made him.
I watched him so many times at Scunthorpe, and every time I come away from Scunthorpe watching him, I used to say, best player on the pitch. Best player on the pitch. And now the fans would have a little moan here and there. He'd see things that other players wouldn't see.
And this is you make a very good point, and I think in the last couple of seasons that's something that Hartlepool United as a football club probably hasn't utilised as much as they could have, and much to fans' frustration sometimes, because we've seen people like Callum Kavanagh, who went to forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I think he went to Harrogate.
Then Newport.
Yeah. So there's players at Middlesbrough, good young talented players, and I know a lot of poolies listening don't want their team flooded full of Middlesbrough loanees, but one or two would absolutely go a long way.
Look at Dan Dodds.
Yeah, and that's a very good example. But in terms of that, I think for whatever reason that relationship has weakened over the last couple of seasons, and as a result, Middlesbrough haven't been sending loanees to Hartlepool United. They've been sending them to Harrogate, or they've been sending them to York, or Gateshead, for example. So they have missed out on some good players pools because that relationship isn't there.
You look at Camille Conte at Gateshead. I mean, Camille's just signed for Grimsby, second division. Paid a fee for him, but Camille had a really good season. And let me tell you, there were a lot of clubs after him. A lot of clubs, not just lower league ones. There was first division clubs after Camille.
I think what you say, Rob's key. There should be a relationship somewhere where Hartlepool more or less get first option on these young lads coming through. Why not build that relationship up? And I think in the past, some of the Hartlepool fans have said, you only get loanees from Borough or this, that and the other, and maybe they haven't been good enough at the time, but I know I speak to Lids quite regularly about them as well. There's some brilliant young players in and around the sort of first team level that aren't going to play but will easily be good enough for the National League, and it'll help their development as well.
Do you know what, Mick? I speak to a lot because I look after some of the loans as well when they go out, and you build relationships with football clubs. I go away, I watch them train at their football club. When they go out on loan, I'll go away, I speak to the manager, I speak to the coaches, and what you get, if you're honest with them, if you say to them, listen, they'll do well on this side. You've got to be honest, I think. You've got to give us honest opinion. Are they ready to go fit into that side? Sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no.
And that's the key. Are they ready? They have to be ready.
That is the key. You've got to have that honesty. If you've got the honesty, majority of the managers come back and they'll ring you up or they'll email you and say, I need a centre forward. Have you got anyone that would fit into the side? And I might give him a couple of things and he'll say, right, bang, I'll take him. I'm not too sure. I'll give an honest opinion. And that's how the communication, that's how the relationships build and work. But I think tonight, it's key for John Askey to have a little look at these players and Mark said it, having a word with the manager afterwards.
I think the reason, what we've learned here, Mark, is that Neil really wants Borough loanees to go to pools so he doesn't have to travel all the way to Newport.
No, not really. Hey,
he likes a night in Newport.
He had one in Argentina last year.
I did 3 days once. I think I went to Cambridge, MK Dons and Yeovil. And looking at players,
Just speaking about that, man, how do these young lads know? When I came here from Middlesbrough, I didn't know I was good enough. I didn't know what was going to happen in that month or 2 months. But you come here and you think, do you know what? That first team football for me was just incredible. And I was playing in front of 1,000, 1,200, but it was fantastic. And you go away and you'd spend all day on a bus, and it's just that first team environment is something that I crave.
That's Mickey Barron, who made the jump from Middlesbrough to Hartlepool United. It worked out well for him, and Neil Maddison alongside us as well. This is Mark Drury with BBC Radio T Sport. Rob Lowe will bring you full match commentary of Hartlepool United against Middlesbrough. It kicks off at 7. The ground is filling up nicely, but Michael McMahon's been in touch on Twitter. He says, hi guys, just to let you and the listeners know, the A19's at a standstill. Plenty of fans could well be late for the game, so if you can let people know, the A19 North between Portrack and Wolverston is very busy. So 7 o'clock kick-off here as John Askey's Hartlepool United take on Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough. We'll hear a bit more from Matt Crooks in a moment, but Dean in Hartlepool has been in touch on the WhatsApp. 08000 321 333 is that number. Got to start your message with the word tease as well, please. Dean says, well, after seeing Poole should end up top 7 last season, I was completely wrong. However, before a ball was kicked, how many thought we'd end up back in the Mission Impossible League? As long as we don't do a Scunthorpe, he says. I'm more pessimistic than optimistic, unfortunately. I hope that I am completely wrong. Anyway, up the pool, says Dean, and good luck to Borough in the coming season. Mickey Barron, what is the general, the optimism gauge? Where is it from the Pools fans you talk to a few weeks away from the big kick-off?
I think it's probably bang in the middle. I think it's like some of them are saying they don't want to do a Scunthorpe, they just want to stay in the league, where others are a little bit more optimistic. Is the team anywhere near as good as it was 2 years ago when it came up? Probably not. So I think they're totally mixed on what to expect. I think again, like I said before, a good start is paramount to the season for me, but and that'll get a few fans on board if they can have a good start, but I do really think the jury's out on what's going to happen this year.
Right, let's hear from Matt Crooks then as we approach 20 to 7. And speaking to me last night on BBC Radio T Sport, he did admit that he and a number of other Borough players thought they would be promoted last season. So after defeat to Coventry in the playoff semi-final, he jetted off to a certain Spanish party destination to get over the heartbreak.
There was a little period, wasn't there, where it was getting a bit tighter and we were in good form and it looked like Sheffield United were maybe wobbling a little bit. And I think there was a confidence that we could possibly do it, but it didn't transpire that way and we had to focus on the next job. I personally thought that we were going to do it either way, but obviously it didn't happen.
And how long did it take, or have you got over the pain of losing in the playoffs yet?
Yeah, I had a week of being grumpy, and then I went to Magaluf and I was alright after that. That was kind of it. Magaluf sorted me out. I was alright.
Nice family holiday.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Matt Crooks with the cure for playoff heartbreak. Neil Maddison, you won promotion in 1998. It wasn't Magaluf though, was it?
Magaluf.
No, it was something a lot more highbrow, wasn't it? It was New York.
New York, yeah, went to New York. Listen, I've been to Magaluf once and I would never go again. It's for some people, it wasn't for me. Also, although I say it, I love Benidorm. I think Benidorm's absolutely superb because Benidorm's slightly different. I love the cabaret acts and stuff like that, you know.
But you love a good turn, don't you?
Yeah,
you do.
I love it, and the rowdiness for me, them days have well and truly gone. So.
On a serious note, though, for Matt Crooks, just that putting that bit of distance between last season and this season, whether it's Magaluf, New York, Benidorm, or wherever else, that's important, isn't it? Just to reset.
You need it. Honestly, you need it. It's not just football. It's in everyday life. You work solidly. You go out to work, and all of a sudden, you come to your holidays, you've got 2 weeks away and you think, that's it, I'm letting my hair down. And that's not just football players, it's everybody. And you need that little respite, you need that little blowout. And yeah, well done to him, you know. He decided to go to Magaluf. I would have gone to Benidorm.
But you can have a word with him and maybe play some recommendations for next season. We'll hear a bit more from Matt Crooks in a moment, but Rob Law commentating on tonight's game. Rob, for those just joining us on BBC Radio T Sport, just under 20 minutes from kick-off, do you want to run us through the teams, please?
Yes, so Borough start with Liam Roberts in goal. We got George Gittow, Dale Fry, Brian Belongo and Terrell Adjumang starting as your back four. Paddy McNair and Hayden Hackney as the two sitting, and then we think it'll be Sonny Finch, Riley McGree and Marcus Force with Jeremy Civey up front. As for Pools, some debuts in there, 4 in fact, with Joel Dixon in goal. Kieran Wallace comes in, as does Chris Ray and Manny Desiruwe to make their debut. So back 4 of Brodie Patterson, who is still a Hartlepool United player. Dan Dodds, Matty Dolan, Eden Pruti with the wing back as well of David Ferguson. The midfield 3 of Kieran Wallace, Callum Cook and a trialist with Chris Ray and Manny Desiruwe up front. Worth pointing out, there is no Josh O'Meara, no Mo Silla, no Ewan Murray in the matchday squad for Hartlepool whatsoever this evening.
And any number of Borough players, senior Borough players who are not involved tonight who you might otherwise expect to be, but Borough have another game which will be on BBC Radio T Sport tomorrow lunchtime. Neil and I will be at York, another National League side, for that one. Mickey Barron is sat huddling up to Rob for warmth in the press box here, and I'm not even kidding. I've noticed over the last half an hour or so you've been having a little wave to one of your old mates who's out there getting drenched doing the warm-ups, Mickey.
Yeah, I messaged him before to say his cones weren't straight while he was putting them out, so he wasn't too happy. But yeah, I speak to Tony quite a lot. He's in our WhatsApp group as well, and he's a brilliant guy to have around in the dressing room, but he's a really good coach as well. So hopefully he'll have a big influence on the players this year as well. But I'm sure whatever happens, he'll be coaching them like really, really well day to day on the training ground.
Yeah, Tony Sweeney, the man we're referring to, and Rob said about players still here. Tony Sweeney's still here. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard stories or questions from Pools fans about is Tony Sweeney on the way elsewhere. He's still here.
Yeah, but from what I believe, he's worth more now as a coach than he was a player. But no, I've heard a few rumours, and I think there has been a few conversations, but he's still here for now.
Okay, Tony Sweeney out there doing the warm-up. The Pools players, a good few of them going through shooting drills at the moment in front of the town end, which appears to have a fair number of Middlesbrough fans in there, rather than the usual blue and white of Hartlepool United. Pools fans in the stand opposite us, the Cyril Knoll stand, and I think down beneath us, around us as well, in the stand we are in, the Neil Cooper stand, or is it? It is Pools, yes, I thought it was. Right, it is BBC Radio T Sport, 7:15. A bit more from Matt Crooks now, who, as well as talking about easing the playoff playing in Magaluf, also opened up about his epilepsy, a condition he was diagnosed with at the end of his teens.
Yeah, I was 20. I was like a second year pro at Huddersfield. And yeah, the doctor said it can just jump on people sometimes, and it might have been there the whole time in my period of my life, but then that's the point that it decided to show itself, and it's mostly controlled now. I've got medication that I take twice a day, but I think the last seizure I had was the 7th of August last year. That's why Juicy brought me in today, because I'm not allowed to drive through here.
Yeah, because that is one of the effects. I mean, if anybody knows anybody with epilepsy, every time you have a seizure, it's a year off, isn't it? From driving?
So I've got 3 weeks left. So I've just ordered my car, which I'm excited about. But no, yeah, it's not affecting me in any manner, I don't think, in football. Even generally in life, I've been pretty lucky that it is controlled by tablets. Some people, it's much more severe. But no, I think when I was younger, I was a bit more relaxed, so I kind of took it a bit. It's just one of those things that have happened, and took it in my stride. I think having kids, it kind of scares you a little bit more. Obviously, with the driving aspect, if something was to happen, so that's probably the only thing now that I'd really think about. But apart from that, yeah, it's just one of those things.
So the way you found out, presumably, was the first time you had a seizure, was it?
Yeah. So I was on a night out with my friend. We went back to his, and then he's obviously told me since. He was running around his house trying to find his mum, because at first he thought I was joking, and then he realised it was something serious. And I just remember being in the hospital at like 6 a.m. Has that what's happened?
No memory of it?
No. It was like the last one that I had. We were going to Old Trafford for the first game of the season for United, and we were supposed to get the train, and then I told my missus I'd forgotten to take my tablet. So she was like, "Right, we're going to go back to the house, get the tablet, then we'll go." As we were driving back to the house, I had my seizure.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Shows the tablets work.
Yeah, the tablets work, yeah. So yeah, I don't really remember anything. It's just, I think it's scary for other people that are watching rather than for myself. I'm a bit selfish, really.
Yeah. And you mentioned your children as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that do you just worry that that's something they might have to deal with in their future? Yeah,
possibly, but there's no one else in my family that's had a history of epilepsy, so to be fair, I'm not sure if it's how it works genetically, anything like that. But I think for me the most important thing is their safety, and me driving, and obviously having that. I know my missus is a bit touch and go with it all, so we'll see how it goes.
And it's never impinged on your professional life then? It's never made any difference to what you are and aren't able to do?
No, I don't think so. I think if anything it's actually helped me, because I've been able to get a lot of support and a lot of high elite support quite quickly, because they want to find out what it is. A lot of the people that I spoke to hadn't seen it before, so they want to find out more, and I went to see top neurologists, top people in all their fields. So I think in a way football's probably helped me rather than set me back anyway.
Well, the pitch here at the Suit Direct Stadium has emptied of players, and now we've got the mascots lining up just on the edge of the pitch outside the tunnel, which is opposite us here in the press box at the back of the Neil Cooper stand. The skies are slate grey all around Hartlepool. The rain is lashing down, so yes, it's a summer pre-season friendly, everyone. And I'm sure the Borough players are glad to be back from Portugal for their first pre-season game on British soil tonight. Well, Matt Crooks was telling me that training sessions under head coach Michael Carrick have been a lot like they would be during the normal season.
It's been good. It's been mostly football. Obviously, there's the running that comes with it that you have to do. But it's been similar to the training that we'd have in season, just with running implemented as well. But it's good. They've got their ideas that they want to implement throughout the season, how we want to play, the different plans that they've got throughout the season, and that's what we're working on now from now till the first game.
Has it changed much in your decade or so in professional football pre-season? Because once upon a time, they wouldn't see football for 3 weeks, would they?
No.
Sort of thing.
I'd say the toughest one I had was Aki. That was like my first proper pre-season.
Accrington.
Yeah, that was just. I think we did a 12-minute run, and then the yo-yo test, and then.
Whoa! What's the yo-yo test?
So it's like the bleep test, but you get like a bit of a rest in between.
Right.
And then you'd go to the local running track that you had to jump over the fence to get onto, and then just run around it until you said stop. That was the worst one I've done. Yeah, but no, I think in my time, I think it's been pretty similar now. A lot of it's quite football based rather than just flogging you out to run. But I mean, I like to run, so it's probably my best time. It's when I'm always at the front. When the balls come out, that's when I start to struggle.
Matt Crooks, so what pre-season is like under Michael Carrick? I've got two grizzled old war horses alongside me, Neil Maddison and Mickey Barron. One's a little more grizzled than the other. A few more miles on the clock, Neil. So you can tell us what. Are
you sure he's your mate?
You can tell us what pre-season used to be like, eh?
Oh, tough. It was proper old school. I can remember my first pre-season under Chris Nicholl, and I was like a 16-year-old lad. And it was, we'd start at the Dell at Southampton, and we'd go on an 8-mile run. And in that 8 mile, you go all around, there was a park in Southampton, it was huge. And you'd go around that, and they'd have about 15 stops. So like, one stop you'd do bodies, this one stop you'd have to do a 300-metre run uphill. It was uphill, honestly, Mick. It was ridiculous. Then come back down, so there's 3 groups. Come back down, and then you'd go again, so 8 times. So in the last one we did some bodies, and then we'd have to run down this long road.
When you say bodies, like crunches and things.
Yeah. Press ups and star jumps and what have you, and that. And then I can remember this. I think I've told you this. The last run, it was about a 2-mile run, and it was all the way back into the Dell. I can remember once me running down there and absolutely sweating and really puffing away trying to get to the front of that, and all I seen was this bus go by and Jimmy Case sat on the bus. He used to take 50 pence with him, honestly, get the bus at the top of the road and go down, and he'd wave at us running like
the value of experience, eh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Had it changed by the time you were doing this, Mickey?
Not really, no. I think I learned a lot from Nigel Pearson. We used to do some runs with Nigel, and he just used to say nobody runs past me, and that was sort of right. I'm happy with that. But I remember we used to do a lot of training at Durham at Maiden Castle, and we had a forest run which was roughly about 16 to 20 minutes, and you'd get round it and it would be tough. And Gordon Watson one day came in about 27 minutes, and he was absolutely fuming with everybody else, and he said we couldn't work out why he was angry with us because we ran harder than him, but his theory was that he'd been running for 27 minutes, so he'd worked harder than us.
I played with Flash down at Southampton. Oh man, what a character he was.
I mean, there is a logic to it. You can see where he's coming from.
Yeah, but he ran like as slow as probably was possible for 27 minutes.
I think you know what it is. I think now sports science has come into it, and it's not as it's structured better. Chris Nicholl just thought we'll flog them. That was the case. I can remember one day waking up the next day and not being able to move. My hamstrings were just so stiff and tight. That won't happen, I think. You don't get me wrong. I think you're tired and a little bit stiff, but I couldn't move. It was difficult, and that's where the injuries
I
come
agree.
on.
But I think then it was to probably use pre-season to lose weight to get yourself fit. Where I think now, especially at places like Middlesbrough, first day back, these lads could play. These lads could play 90 minutes because they'll keep themselves fit over the summer, and they got all the exercises and all the programmes, and they'll come back and they'll be ready to go straight away.
I remember the big fuss when Jose Mourinho arrived at Chelsea. What was that, 2004? And because he was using the footballs from day one of pre-season, it was like, wow, we've never seen anything like this. It's the future.
Yeah, well, I have to say Mick Tate was way ahead of him because he used to bring 2 bags of footballs the first day of training, and you had to run from one to the other. We didn't use them, but he had them there.
Mickey Barron, Pools legend, and Neil Maddison, who is something of a Borough legend as well, both on and off the mic these days. Here for full match commentary of Hartlepool United against the Borough. We are just over 5 minutes away from this first pre-season friendly for both teams. Well, looking ahead to the new campaign, which is just over 3 weeks away now, Matt Crooks says he expects a tough season for Middlesbrough, with teams like Leicester coming down.
The teams look stronger. The names feel bigger. But Championship's Championship. You always have one Luton.
Yeah.
No one had predicted Luton would do last year.
Maybe they should. I mean, they were in the playoffs the season before, of course.
Yeah, that is true. It's always a difficult league, but there's definitely, I'd say, bigger clubs in the mix than there was last year.
How much do you enjoy the Championship? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you'd like to be in the Premier League, but how much fun is the Championship to play in? Because it's great to watch.
Yeah, glad to enjoy it. It's just games. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, because it's just like another game. It's full throttle, which I think suits me.
Matt Crooks there on what he expects from the Championship this season. This ground continues to fill up. The rain is still driving down. I was going to say from right to left, but it's swirling around from all quarters, and I'm just seeing pictures on the BBC T Sport Twitter feed of Borough fans queuing outside in the rain. It looks a long old queue as well down the road as they wait to get through the turnstile, so we hope they get in here soon. You can see Borough fans are at either end, Neil Maddison, and down the sides of the pitch it's home fans, isn't it? But that's dedication, isn't it, from all involved to want to be here tonight for what is essentially a glorified kickabout.
I think it'll be the same. I wouldn't say that. As I said before, I think it's a good opportunity to get the miles into your legs and try and beat the opposition, and you've got to impress. Keep on saying it year in, year out when we come to pre-season, especially the young boys. They want to get into the manager's head, and the first team players. I don't think the manager doesn't accept second best. He wants you to go out there and really perform. And as you said before, it's a healthy crowd. I mean, there's a fair few Borough fans in.
There is, and a good, healthy support for Hartlepool United as well. They will be needed this season, Rob, won't they? I mean, obviously, Borough sold 21,000 season tickets as of yesterday. Pools are going to need their support to stay with them in the National League.
Yeah, Pools, in contrast, just over 2,000 at present. That was before some of the new signings had come in, so I expect that has gone up at least a little bit, as few fans starting to feel a little bit of optimism ahead of the start of the new season, but still a long way to go in that regard to really pack the park and get this place rocking, as we know it can do, and it can make such a huge difference, Mark.
It can indeed. Well, the players are starting to line up in the tunnel, I think, opposite us. If I can pierce the gloom, got the referee and the officials there as well, lining the players up. We've got the mascots out there gamely waving their flags as they get a thorough dousing from the rain here. It's more like an October evening, it really is, than a July Saturday. But here come the players, Middlesbrough in their new home shirt, home kit for the new season, led by Dale Fry, and Hartlepool United looking very smart in their blue and white stripes with blue shoulders. Neil Maddison, Mickey Barron and Rob Law will bring you commentary of this evening's game.
Thank you, Mark. Both teams out onto the pitch then. A really good following from both sets of supporters inside the ground. Many still queuing outside and hoping desperately to get inside the ground before kick-off. But two teams out, Hartlepool United and Middlesbrough. Just a few miles separating the two teams, the A19 in between the two. And two teams who both have the same objective as a new season beckons, both teams wanting promotion from their respective divisions. For Middlesbrough, it is an entirely different proposition to the one that Hartlepool United faces under John Askey. Both will navigate entirely different routes if they are to achieve what they hope to achieve. Middlesbrough will have to do it via places like Leicester City, Southampton, and many others. Hartlepool United will have the less glamorous trips to Dorking Wanderers, Maidenhead and Wealdstone. You got no fans is usually how it goes, isn't it? But as the slate grey skies empty at a rate of knots, the rain is absolutely rinsing down. Mickey Barron, Neil Maddison alongside me. Mickey, to you first of all. John Askey trying to put together a squad that will be able to fight for promotion. What will he be wanting out of this evening's game?
I think obviously the fitness, but I think you'll want to see the first signs of the shape and the style of play that they're going to be using this season. I think he needs the players to buy into what he wants to do. I think an interesting player for Hartlepool this season is going to be Matty Dolan. I think, can you utilise his ability on the ball to help you play football and play through the thirds? Because I know when he was at Newport he did that really, really well. So is he going to be in the team regularly enough to build a team around him?
Let me run you through the teams then, as Middlesbrough all the way back to Liam Roberts, who starts in goal. Your back four of George Gittow, Dale Fry, Brian Belongo and Terrell Adjumang, who arrived from Manchester City in the summer. Paddy McNair and Hayden Hackney in midfield with Sonny Finch, Riley McGree and Marcus Force, who's on the ball now into the box at the angle, drills one straight at Joel Dixon, who is able to get his body behind it, and he goes out for a throw-in just short of the corner flag. Up front for Borough, Jeremy Sivvy, who is leading the line with the number 9 on his back. And as Borough attack on this near side, with the Borough fans packed into the town end away to our right. Neil Maddison, what will Borough gain from this evening's game, apart from minutes? What will they want to see? As Borough taking this free kick quickly there. Eden Pruti able to just intercept right on the byline to put it out for another throw.
I think from our point of view, I think minutes in the legs, performing, and a chance for the youngsters. George Gittow right back here started really well. Brian Belongo on the left hand side, 6'4", he's absolutely rapid. And you've got Sonny Finch up top, Jeremy Sivvy up top as well. They'll want to impress the manager.
But it's Hartlepool United who now attack with Dizarue, one of the new signings who arrived from Halifax. Stops the ball dead as a wind sweeps in out to the trialist, right-footed, tries to deliver inside the 6-yard box, but it's cleared away from inside the area by Brian Belongo, who Neil Maddison a few moments ago was just talking about. And it is as well, I suppose, for Borough, Maddo, about who is the next one to step up from the academy. Hayden Hackney's done it in recent time, but everyone out there in a red and white shirt this evening will be hoping it's them.
Do you know what, Rob? The manager is like that. The manager, if you're good enough, you're straight in. He doesn't have to test and try you. If you're good enough and you're performing in training and on match days, you'll get your chance.
Corner for Hartlepool United, swung in by Matty Dolan at the front post, comes back out to him, has a second chance to deliver. Instead he goes short to Callum Cup, right-footed, curling away from goal to the back post. It goes over the head of Eden Pruti and through to this near side. David Ferguson, can he deliver? Left-footed cross is blocked and rebounds away from the Borough goal. Ferguson trying to find a way through, but is blocked out by Terrell Adjumang, who has those long dreadlocks bouncing around his shoulders. He goes back to Hayden Hackney, who pen to paper on a brand new contract to keep him at the Riverside for quite some time yet, and quite right as well, Neil, considering the season that man has had.
Yeah, he's been an excellent, find. He's always been in the building, but the chance and how he's flourished under Michael Carrick has been quite remarkable. He's been excellent.
Interception there from Pools, and the trialist trying to win it back for the blue and white stripes, but instead just overrun by Kieran Wallace, who eventually gets it back. Intercepted once again though by the red and white shirts as they go along, looking for Chris Ray, who's accelerating right behind Dale Fry, who just has to make sure by nudging the ball out of play short of the corner flag deep inside the Borough half. And David Ferguson with the throw-in. He's got Callum Cook short. He picks up that option, creates some space for Ferguson, delivers. It's a poor delivery though, really flat, and didn't really have any target in mind as Pools sweep up from the back. And Mickey Barron, our Hartlepool United summariser, 5 minutes in, and Pools will be relatively happy so far, I would think.
Yeah, I think they could have done slightly better from the corner that he had as well. I think Pruitt had a good chance. He was free in the box and just seemed to get underneath the ball a little bit. But the Hartlepool are trying to play through the midfield. Wallace has been caught a couple of times on the ball, so he just needs to move the ball a little bit quicker when he receives it in there. But they are trying to play through him and get the ball wide, and so far they've put 2 or 3 decent crosses in.
Brodie Patterson out to the trialist, who has stubbly beard and sort of short to medium long hair, if you like. It's curling up around his ears. I know I mentioned short, medium and long. I just thought I'd cover all the bases, do you know what I mean? We don't know who he is. It's the mystery man. It is the mystery man. I mean, I remember doing this a few pre-seasons ago, as you can text in with what we should call the trialist, who is on the ball now, trying to create some space, finds Callum Cook, edge of the area, onto the D, right-footed shot is saved by Liam Roberts, comes to Ferguson inside the area, his left-footed shot, first time, saved again by Roberts, as the ball rebounds out for a Pools throw-in.
Yeah, it was a really good play from Hartlepool and got into some good situations there. All the Middlesbrough defenders had gone right across the pitch, and Cook probably should have took it on his left-hand side and shot, but got a shot away, and then the keeper made 2 really good saves.
Trialist onto his right foot, switches onto his left, and some tidy footwork from said trialist. I think last time we did it, the common consensus was that we should call the trialist Bob.
Bob, you did, yeah.
Yeah, it was Bob the trialist, wasn't it?
I never understand why they can't just tell you the name.
Well, yes.
Do you know, because after the game someone will say, oh yeah, that's him, or whoever, Bob whoever, you know.
Bobby T.
You'll find out anyway, so just tell us.
Bobby T gracing the pitch. The good news is that it stopped raining for the players, as momentarily anyway, because by the look of the sky, I mean, it doesn't look like it's sunshine's going to break out anytime soon. But Middlesbrough in possession, and it's Riley McGree just turns into dangers. Kieran Wallace is able to mop up and go back to Matty Dolan, who finds Joel Dixon after he arrived in the summer after his contract at Bolton came to an end. Had a bit of a difficult time at Bolton, as Desirue receives it now from the trialist out on the right hand side, tries to skip past the red shirts and deliver across, takes a deflection and out for a throw-in.
He's had quite a good start, the trialist, hasn't he? Been on the ball quite a bit, linked up well with the strikers and gotten in some good positions in behind the midfield players, so he's had a really good start with that long, short, medium.
Bob's done good.
Yeah,
Bob's done good.
They've started brightly, Hartlepool. You know, you can see as our passing's just been slightly off. They're trying to play through the ranks, you know, zipping that ball into midfield. It hasn't quite come up, and Hartlepool have got that ball, got the balls out wide especially, and try to deliver balls into the box.
Throw into Pools then over on that far side. Brodie Patterson to take it. One player who many thought his time was done at the club, but brought back into the fold by John Askey this summer after being out on loan last season. And Askey potentially getting a look at him as Borough tried to spring a counter with Jeremy Sivvy on the halfway line.
Yeah, he should have put...
Yeah, he had the option to play in, but instead...
He should have put Sonny Finch in, because Sonny makes a lovely run in behind, and they're playing a high line. Hartlepool, he's beat the offside trap.
Pass as well, Maddo, wasn't it?
It was an easy
just
pass.
Slipped him in because he had lots of space in behind to run in.
And he decides to come across the pitch, and the chance is gone.
2 players I've always liked for Middlesbrough from the academy, whenever I've seen them, Sonny Finch and Jeremy Sivvy. Both look tidy players, Maddo.
Yeah, I mean, Sivvy, Martin Carter, another one from Martin Carter, come down and come as a winger at first, but he's gone down the middle, and you know, he's a strong lad. Just signed a new contract as well, strong lad, and He's got an opportunity tonight to impress the manager.
The ball with Joel Dixon as he's serenaded by the Middlesbrough fans in the town end away to our right. A sliding challenge in by Eden Pruti just stops Marcus Force in his tracks as the ball comes out for a throw-in right down in front of us. You can see George Gitau with his number 3 on his back, has the ball above his head as he tosses it into play now for Civi, who's been held, and the wind whips around the press box, and David Ferguson does well to find Dizaruwe to stretch those long gangly legs of his. He tries to just pick a pass through to Callum Cook, but it's wayward, and Paddy McNair can pick up to spring a Borough attack, but a loose pass from Sonny Finch. There's the commentator's curse alive and well in pre-season, after we just saying how tidy he was. The trialist very busy in the opening exchanges, and a high foot there on Dizaruwe. And I tell you what, that's to be some high foot, because Dizaruwe is 6'5".
Yeah, he's tall, but I was watching him in the warm-up and in the little keep ball session he was doing. He looked like he could pass a ball. He looked like he could control it well. You know, sometimes if you're tall, you sort of stand out in those little sessions. But I think he started the game quite well. He's made some good runs, and he wants the ball into his feet as well.
He's technically good.
Pools on the attack as the ball is clipped out to the left-hand side by Dodds. Ferguson delivers. The crowd shout for handball, but it hit Gitau in his midriff more than anything else. Is now a long
ball,
arching pass down the near side towards Sonny Finch. He stands up Matty Dolan. Only one of them is going to win that race, aren't they? As the ball is crossed into the 6-yard box, and Dixon stayed at home, and Pools were able to clear to Ferguson on this near side, midway inside his own half, and Borough have a man down, and it is George Gitau is struggling with that.
Yeah, I think that's classed as a groin injury. You have to stop it. He did stop the cross into the box really well, but yeah, I think he might just need a couple of moments.
Yes, as long as nobody asks him if he needs it rubbing down.
It was a great ball from him as well, by the way, because he's stuck in the right-hand side corner, and he puts a ball over the top of Sonny Finch. Sonny Finch just steps over the ball and puts a lovely ball into the near post, but unfortunately nobody's there.
I think that's a type of ball, that sort of, as a fullback, you want to play sometimes. It's all right getting it into midfield, but you want that runner, and Finch made the run, and it was a good run, and as you say, it was a terrific ball to him, and then he put some quality in the box there, Mano, didn't he, with that ball? So
lovely ball.
It was really good from him, and he's had a good start to the game.
Well, he's down, and as Mickey Barron quite eloquently put it, it's in a place where you definitely don't want any heat, a deep heat. But he is getting some treatment and help to his feet by the physio. Middlesbrough taking the time out to go and take on some instruction and some fluids, as are Hartlepool United, and Eden Pruti just having a conversation with Joel Dixon. And I know coming into the game and coming into the new season, Mickey, from a Pools perspective, one of the topics of conversation is who is going to be the Pools number 1 after Ben Killip left, went to Barnsley. Now, it's either Joel Dixon or it's Pete Jameson. Two very strong candidates.
Really, really strong department for them. I think 2 goalkeepers that can easily play at this level. I know a mutual friend of ours, Andy Collins, worked with Pete at York and rates him really highly. Couldn't understand why he'd never been sort of in the league before. And obviously Dixon's has had some game time at other clubs as well. So I think that's a really strong department for them, and somewhere where it's probably going to be down to pre-season how they perform in these games.
And the substitutes out warming up. George Gitau is about to re-enter the field of players. The ball goes back to Dixon in the Pools goal away to our right. Now Dodds tries to float a long ball up towards Dizaruwe, but taken off his toes by Dale Fry, who tries a quick 1-2 with his goalkeeper, and again from Hayden Hackney this time, who I don't think Liam Roberts will thank him for those back passes. But
yeah, it was just a pushing the back on the midfield player there, the ball in him, and the Hartlepool player tried to get a little bit too tight and just give a free kick away.
Should mention we're 13 minutes in. It's 0-0 here on BBC Radio T's Sport as the new season beckons. We'll have commentary of Middlesbrough's pre-season campaign, but there is many Middlesbrough fans still filtering into all corners of the ground after those long queues that were seen on social media outside the ground. And all Pools do have a new ticketing system in play. This will be the first time they've used it, and
could be the last.
Yes, well, Neil Maddison never misses a beat.
They're still coming in from all corners, aren't they?
I can't believe I didn't bring my gloves. I'm freezing.
This is tropical to what we're going to get come February. Mickey, you should be used to this. Or you will be used to it by February, believe me.
And the whole of Europe are in the heat wave, aren't they?
Yeah.
Not here, though. It's got its own weather climate. It's Hartlepool. Yeah, you can say that. You're under the tin roof. you're not out there. Hartlepool in possession as they go back with Matty Dolan. Lifts his head, squares it to Dodds, playing against his former employers. He's a player who wants to impress today, won't he?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Good player, Doddsy. Quick, direct. I don't think, I've got to admit, I don't think right hand side centre half is his position. I think he's a better wing back or full back, but he's deployed in that position today. He can step in, which he'll enjoy.
Yeah, I think he would prefer to push him forward, wouldn't he? But it's probably just for the other personnel that they've got today that he's playing there. But as you see, I think he's better going forward, probably trying to score some goals or creating goals. But he's had a really good start in his career at Hartlepool.
0-0 then. Middlesbrough against Hartlepool United as Mark Drury desperately scrambling to keep hold of a piece of paper that's just escaped his grasp from the wind in and around the stadium. Pools have a free kick after a good inventive run from Ray. Pools take it short with Cook. Out to the right hand side for Dodds, to the trialist and back again. Dolan receives it inside his own half, squares it to Eden Pruti, and Borough pressing high up the pitch and rapidly as well, forcing a quick clearance from Joel Dixon in the Pools goal, and Dale Fry's headed it straight to Callum Cook. Now he tries to unleash the run of Chris Ray, but too much on it, and Liam Roberts can collect it right on his 18-yard line. A nice idea, but wasn't quite there.
I'm all for playing football, but Hartlepool have got a free kick in the final third of Middlesbrough, and then end up going back to the goalkeeper, and they've almost given the ball away. But yeah, it could have been it was a good run from Ray, but the ball through was slightly overhit.
As Borough go back to goalkeeper Liam Roberts, who has an awful lot of competition on his hands now. 3 goalkeepers for Michael Carrick to choose from after the arrival of Seni Dieng from Queen's Park Rangers, one of the main signings for Michael Carrick this summer. More expected, I'm sure, but Roberts has always been tidy whenever I've seen him, Neil.
He's a good keeper. The one thing I will see, when the ball's coming into his area, he goes and collects them. Really good in the air.
As Riley McGree skips past the advances of Hartlepool United and needs a ball through to Adjumang, whose shot is just trickling wide of the outstretched glove of Joel Dixon. It was Terrell Adjumang who made his run, and it was McGree who played him into the area. Just couldn't get enough power behind the shot though.
Yeah, that's a good run from McGree. Finds him on that left hand side, and he just steps inside and tries to bend it to the far corner with his right foot. And it just goes past the far post.
That's a tough one for Hartlepool, because McGree's coming in off sort of behind the wing back into the other centre halves, if you like, and no one really knows who to pick him up, so they really need to talk to each other. If one of the centre halves is going to step in, so he can't get that space, because he's dangerous when he gets the ball.
I've got to say, Mick, last season he did exactly that. So many times there was him on one wing and Ramsey on the other side. They just filtered in and they caused problems for defences.
Yeah, again, he's getting the ball. I haven't seen much of it. He's really clever with how he does it. The timing of it is absolutely fantastic.
Out to the right hand side now for Marcus Force. Just his passes half blocked by Ferguson for Pools on the edge of their own penalty area. And Pools once again back to Joel Dixon, who completes the clearance into the slate grey sky. Manny Dizarouwe can't quite get a hold of it, but Pools pick up the second ball with Callum Cook. He does a full 360 and stops the ball dead outside of his boot. Goes out to the right hand side for Brodie Patterson. Back to Cook. And Pools happy to have possession, and at the minute Middlesbrough happy for them to have it, as Dolan does well to put a ball diagonally onto the chest of Ferguson. Now the trialist tried a through ball around the defender of Dale Fry into the path of Chris Ray, but Ray wasn't quite on the same wavelength there, Mickey.
No, but it was another good bit of play. It was a good diagonal ball to Fergie, who's controlled it and saw the trialist want to get on the ball. And again, it was a good idea, just slightly overhit. But I have to say, the trialist really impressed me with the areas he's picking the ball up in.
Thank you to everybody who's texting and tweeting, by the way. No, we don't know who the trialist is. But thank you to Dan Ragusa back at base, who has been doing his Inspector Clouseau on it and trying to find out.
I want to know who his hairdresser is.
What, you mean with his short, medium to long hair? It's... You don't need a hairdresser, Maddo.
Yeah, the Astro.
Good old Astro. As Borough on the attack, and it's Sonny Finch who's trying to go the long way around the Pools defence. The clearance is straight to Jeremy Sivvy, lays it off to the left-hand side now for Belongo, who just rolls his studs across the top of the ball. Pools dropping off. Hayden Hackney now, you can't give him that much space. A diagonal ball to Marcus Force right on the byline, who slides down onto his backside to try and get on the end of that. It drops out of play. It's a goal kick, 20 minutes in. It's Hartlepool United 0, it's Borough 0.
Do you know what? The attacker should never get in there when the midfielder's looking up and the fullback, but it's the timing of the pass from the midfielder to the wide player. He's just waiting for the defender to look, and then he runs in behind, and that's that little bit of quality matter.
Lovely ball.
All the good players just have that little bit of extra quality on the ball.
David Ferguson with now some space inside the Borough half. As Kieran Wallace finds Dodds with those white socks halfway down his shins. Brodie Patterson trying to skip infield. Finds the trialist back out to the right. And the trialist once again trying to stab a ball through to Chris Ray, but would have had to do a lot in order to beat the Borough defence from there. As Marcus Force receives it from Sivvy, but Poole's able to just sweep up, and still some fans around us who are just now entering the ground, and we're 21 minutes in, given the long queues outside the stadium which we've been mentioning throughout. And now a bit of concern for Pools as they have a throw in, and Chris Ray is down clutching his left ankle. That looks a sore one.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything. I think it was just a tackle. Maybe he's just gone over as he's been tackled and rolled his ankle a little bit, but he's back up on his feet. He's hobbling around, so I'm sure he'll want to stay on and run that off.
So there's I'm told there's a debate going on online about who the trialist is. Many thinking it's Anthony Mancini, who is a midfielder, former French under-19. He's 22 years of age. Also speculation that it could be Lewis Longstaff, who was at Cove last season. So there's one for you.
He's done well. He's floated around.
And he's just won the ball again now for Manny Dizarue out to this left-hand side for Ferguson, wearing the captain's armband. The trialist does well to receive it and get past Dale Fry, drifts out to the right-hand side and passes the ball off to Dizarue, who finds Ferguson, stops the ball dead, needs an option. The trialist tries to provide one. Now Pruti out to Dolan inside the centre circle, squares it for Dodds. Just has to circle back because Borough trying to push up the field, and you can see there, Maddo, Jeremy Sivvy and Sonny Finch both waving the red and white shirts up the field as a diagonal ball to Ferguson, just seen out there by George Gittow.
It's a great diagonal, isn't it, in behind?
Yeah.
George Gittow's can't do anything with that. He just has to put out a play. Hartlepool have travelled 80 yards right deep inside our half now. Anthony Mancini, centre midfield, formerly of Burnley and Accrington.
Do you know what he looks?
Hey, look at that! Don't say we don't. I mean, this is your public service broadcasting right here.
He looks like a quality player. You know, he looks like he's played at a high. He's comfortable on the ball. He wants the ball. He gets into good places, and he certainly had a good start.
He's certainly playing like he's got a point to prove, which is what you want from a trialist.
You know, I think sometimes them type of players are difficult to mark, aren't they? He's just that free spirit that floats around, that's got that licence to just get on that ball and cause defences problems, and to be fair, he's done that.
And Middlesbrough almost causing their own problems here as the ball ricochets for Chris Ray. He nutmegs a defender and it's stabbed in by Manny Dizarue. Welcome to Hartlepool, Manny Dizarue. He gets his first goal in blue and white after arriving from Halifax, but the work was done by Chris Ray, who did well to pounce on a defensive mistake by Borough at the back. He nutmegged the defender, put it straight into the 6-yard box, and Desirue had to tap in from about a yard. It's Pools 1, it's Borough 0.
Yeah, that'll do him the world of good, that little goal there. I think Ray did really well to have his composure when he got the ball in the box. He's still hobbling, but he had the composure, and I think he nutmegged Dale Fry and then got his head up and just slid it in for Manny to tap in. And as I say, that'll do him the world of good just to get that first goal. He started the game well, but now he's got his goal, and it was a good finish, wasn't it? Just in the right area and just put it in.
Yeah, and from a Borough perspective, Neil,
defensively a little bit sloppy. I think in two minds, possibly not talking there. George Couture and Dale Fry, and he nutmegs Dale and puts a lovely ball across the 6-yard box, and the big centre forward gets his goal.
Well, a lot of ironic cheers from the Pools fans over to the town end away to our right, which I have to say is absolutely rammed with Borough fans. It is. I mean, you could barely get a piece of paper between anybody in there, could you? It's a brilliant following from the Borough support, but at the minute their team are trailing in this pre-season friendly as Borough determined to play out from the back, and almost Liam Roberts putting it on a plate for Kieran Wallace as Pools now have confidence and pounce on a forward ball with Chris Ray once again, who is still struggling with that little knock to his ankle, but the trialist left-footed crossing the penalty area, which is snuffed out by Borough and cleared up to the halfway line.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying Dodds or one of the centre-halves need to do. He needs to step in and try and win the ball, and he did it brilliantly there.
And Joel Dixon, no nonsense there as he completes the clearance under the watchful eyes of Jeremy Sivvy, and Manny Desirue here has robbed Gitau on this near side. He finds Callum Cook, who then cushions a pass into the path of the captain for Pools, David Ferguson. Desirue using that 6'5" frame to shield the ball, gets it back from Cook, controls it inside the area at the angle, just bobbles up, can't quite get a true connection, but has won the corner for good measure.
Yeah, again, good player, linking up in around the penalty area and gets a chance. You know, he gets a chance to have a shot, he takes it, got deflected now for a corner.
Well, Middlesbrough, and you can see Jeremy Sivvy here just trying to organise things from a Borough perspective, but it's Hartlepool United who are playing with confidence at the minute.
That goal has just sparked them into life. Don't get me wrong, I thought they started the game really well, then it became a little bit even, but I would say out of the two teams, they've been the better passers of the ball. They've made sure they've got into good areas and caused us a few problems.
And Pools with a short corner that is cleared at the front post by Dale Fry eventually, headed out by Kieran Wallace, and throwing to Middlesbrough deep inside their own half.
Yeah, Wallace is obviously going to be the one that does the screening, and he's going to be the one that stays in front of the back three and lets Cook and the other midfielder get forward a little bit more, and he's just playing in front there. He's going to break things up and try and press when he can, and it'll be interesting to see how he does tonight.
Paddy McNair on the ball at the base of the Borough defence, tries to find Sonny Finch. He bounces off the ground and back up again, and then eventually, the second time of asking, stays down inside the centre circle. Borough wanting a free kick that doesn't come. Joel Dixon inside his 6-yard box, out to Dan Dodds, takes a touch and then goes long to Desirue, cushions a beautiful pass straight into the path of the trialist. Now Chris Ray able to run at the defence once again though, but Borough getting quickly back in numbers to just mob the man. It might break though for the trialist, who cuts it back to Ferguson and tapped in for two. Hartlepool United double their lead in a matter of minutes, and once again Manny Desirue heavily involved, and the trialist, who's been busy and been persistent, was able to put it on a plate for David Ferguson, wearing the captain's armband, and was able to side foot home from inside the area. Pools 2, Borough 0.
Yeah, again, really good composure from the trialist. He could easily have fired that across the goal towards the goalkeeper, but he's been really clever and just cut it back for Fergie, who's running and scores a goal. But good play again by Ray. He's going to be your wild card, isn't he? He's going to be able to do something different, and he's been twice now involved in both of the goals when he's done a little bit of trickery and created something. But that was a really, really well taken goal.
And Neil, once again, Middlesbrough just getting caught out at the back.
Yeah, I've been disappointed with the passing.
Yeah.
You know, I've been sloppy with the passing. They're giving the ball away cheaply. Organisation level that you need at the back as well. Switching on, making sure you stick tight with your runners and your men, and it just hasn't quite happened for us. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Hartlepool have started the game really well. Start the game, it's been well into the game now, but they've got a bit between the teeth, and they're piling the pressure. You can see 2 goals, they're growing in confidence, and they're starting to knock the ball around a bit.
Yeah, I agree, Maddo. I think the passing from Middlesbrough all over the pitch has been pretty poor. They're giving the ball away, and I think that just it sums up the first sort of period of the game, doesn't it?
It has. But don't get me wrong, you know, when you're trying that ball, that killer ball, and you don't mind that, but the simple passing we haven't got right.
And in a way, I mean, you would expect Middlesbrough to be slightly out of rhythm, considering the amount of, I mean, it is a side predominantly, Maddo, that won't have played an awful lot of games together.
No,
they're figuring it out on the field there.
It is a young side. Obviously, you've got Paddy and Dale at the back there, but the rest of them are pretty young.
Yeah.
Riley McGree on that side, I think has possibly been our best player, but he's sort of fizzled out the game a little bit, because I've got to say Hartlepool have been the dominant side.
Well, as you say that, I was just watching Kieran Wallace as you were talking there, Neil, and Kieran Wallace, every time, his first thing is to do is look where the Borough number 8 is, which is obviously Riley McGree, and every time he takes a step, his head is up, looking over his shoulder. You know what? Where is he?
I've got to say, and I applaud the shape from Hartlepool. They're finding it really difficult. When we tend to play teams, we try and get it into midfield, we zip that ball in there and break quickly on them. But their shape for Hartlepool is really good, and we find it difficult to just get through the ranks.
The midfielders are working really, really hard, so if Wallace does come out of that position and goes and press, the trialists will drop in, and it takes a lot of work to do that. You have to put in a real shift to keep on doing that, so it'll be interesting to see if they can carry it right throughout the game. But at the moment, they're stopping Middlesbrough playing into that middle section of the pitch.
Marcus Force taking up possession for Borough on the halfway line to find Hayden Hackney, who's can see just imploring his teammates to come short to him.
There's no real space to come short though there. You know, they're playing a high line there. You're just going to have that little runner in behind, but you can play into feet all day long, but it's about putting the ball into good areas, which Hartlepool have done, and creating opportunities.
Now Marcus Force a chance to run at the Pill's defence. That avenue is shut though, so he'll have to find another way. Adjumang now to Riley McGree. Nice sleight of feet as he dances inside the area. McGree right-footed, saved low by Joel Dixon. Beautiful work from Riley McGree to somehow dance his way through. The ball was glued to his feet. And the Pools keeper, Joel Dixon, had a lot to do there to deny the Borough man, but he did so. It's still Hartlepool United 2, Middlesbrough 0 in his pre-season friendly, but good work from McGree.
He did really well from McGree, but the goalkeeper he stood up really well and didn't give them an angle or didn't give an option just to pass it through.
He goes for power, doesn't he? I mean, it's on his right foot and it's his weaker foot, but he goes for power and he strikes it really well, and it's towards the keeper, and I've got to say the keeper makes a good save, but maybe he's a little bit of guile to just feed it in that far corner.
Possibly kept on going and go around the keeper. He's gone round 3 or 4.
Corner to Borough, they've taken it short. McGree to Hackney and back again, and sliding is Callum Cook to deny his former side, and then barks out some enthusiastic words, motivational of which I'm sure, to his teammates. He's not shy of giving it some, is he, Callum Cook?
No, it's always easy when you've done a tackle like that to turn around and shout at a few people. So, no, I think that every team needs that. Every team needs someone, as long as it's done in the right way and the other people react well to it.
Corner taking it straight at the chest of David Ferguson, who then clears into the Neil Cooper stand, of which we're sat right at the back of. BBC Radio T Sport will have commentary tomorrow as well, with Middlesbrough at York City in the other pre-season friendly, which you would expect, Neil, it to be a more familiar Borough side, should we say, tomorrow against York City. Do you think?
I think it'll still be a mix. It'll still be a mix of 21s plus first team players.
Paddy McNair picking up possession deep inside his own half. Now Adjumang one of the summer arrivals from Manchester City, 20 years of age. And the Manchester Academy hopefully producing something that Middlesbrough can benefit from. Certainly, or have seen enough to spend some money on him and bring him here to the Riverside, Maddo.
Yeah, listen, he's got an opportunity. I don't think he's going to get that opportunity in Man City.
No.
But he's got an opportunity here to impress, and it's been tough for them in midfield so far.
Throw in for Pools inside their own half. Eden Pruti goes down the line, headed back the way it came from Gitau. And now Ferguson finds Ray. Looks to switch the play. That is a great piece of play as the trialist controls it on his chest and then is denied there by Brian Bolongo. And Pools just have to chase back into their own half now for Dodds.
You know, we've done that a few times. I think we've overcovered a little bit, either side. You know, and all of a sudden we've got caught out there. It's 1v1 situation. He does well there, to be fair, Brian Bolongo, because if he just gets past him, he's in on goal.
You're right, man. There's been 2 or 3 times when they've gone so far across the pitch that one decent ball which was played there and a different type of touch he could have been in.
Marcus Force back to Gitau. Short pass to Dale Fry, who had a lot to say about the invention of gravity in one of Matt Crooks's pre-season training camp videos. It's worth its weight in gold, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to watch that.
Yeah, I saw that one.
There's also a very interesting piece in there about pyramids. I won't spoil it for you. As I say, it's definitely an eye-opener as Marcus Force plucks the ball out of the air onto his left foot, which is shot is blocked by Ferguson. Good sleight of feet from Force there, who is trying hell for leather to get the ball back, but Callum Cook and Eden Pruti combine to clear the ball up into the Borough half of play.
I think Middlesbrough need to try and find a way to get in behind, to get the strikers running in behind them somehow. Everything's always in front, or it's a diag to the wider players, which is a back five. It's quite easy to defend against. They need someone to run in behind and try and get that ball down the side of them a little bit.
Yeah, I think when McGree's got on the ball, he's sort of been the one that's looking to open him up and thread that ball through. But I just think, for me, I think Hartlepool's shape has been really good. It's been really good. It's tested us. We haven't had enough quality to get past them, and at this moment the only time we have is when McGree's been on it and he's had that opportunity to score, and keeper's pulled off a good save. 9 minutes to go till half time then. I have to be honest here, I'm slightly dreading half time just by looking at the Middlesbrough bench of how many there are and how many changes we're probably likely to see. I think it might be an entirely different 11 second half, Maddo. What do you think? I'm not too sure.
I mean, I hope you're right.
There's a couple. I mean, there was a game midweek at Bishop Auckland, and a few of them played there, and they might want to just give them a little bit longer. It's pre-season, and I think as players, you want to play as many minutes as you can to get that fitness, to get that sharpness.
Yeah, I agree. I used to hear go along playing 45 minutes. I'd rather play an hour at least, and then even longer if I could, just to get some minutes.
Oh, Chris Ray does very well there to try and pick out a pass for Manny Desirue, who controls it on his chest, but is then just surrounded by a couple of red shirts, one of which was Gitau, who was able to take the ball away from the Pool striker and mop up any danger as some of the grey clouds have cleared somewhat. The rain has stopped. The players down on the pitch still absolutely drenched though from the torrential downpour right at the start of the game. It brings me back to, remember that pre-season friendly against Sunderland some time ago, Maddo, when it got abandoned at half-time because of the thunder and lightning? And as we say there's still even now some Borough fans filtering into the ground from all corners, and we're almost at half-time. We've got 7 or 8 minutes left to go till half-time, and still
there's absolutely loads there, isn't
I mean, it's not even 1 or 2, is it? You're talking 20, 30, 40.
It's going to fill up the rest of that stand, isn't it, by the time you all get along there and filter through.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Sorry to cut in, but you get the impression somebody's given up on the ticketing operation over there.
I was about to say, I think there'll be some harsh feedback on the new ticketing system after today's game, I would suspect. As Adjumang does well to win the ball inside the Pools half of play. McGree feeds it to Sonny Finch out to the left-hand side now for Bilongo, who thinks about the cross but then thinks otherwise and finds Adjumang to Hackney and back again. Hackney now just circles back on himself as Pools are sitting back, allowing Middlesbrough to have the ball, and then as soon as they sort of get midway inside the half, they try to bite at the heels of the man in possession. But
tactically, you know, Rob, I think they've done really well. Hartlepool, the shape has been excellent. They've nullified us, stifled us a little bit,
and it's leading Borough to working their way back to their goalkeeper in Liam Roberts.
But what they have done as well, they've attacked in numbers. Yeah, they've got men forward, causes a few problems, got balls into good areas.
And it's when you get the chances, Mickey, making sure you take them, and that's what Pools have done so far.
Yeah, they have. They've been composed in the penalty bit area of Middlesbrough. When they've had that chance to be, they've picked out the right pass at the right time or done that little bit of skill. And I think, I hate to say it because I know Middlesbrough have a lot of players going, but that's been the difference for him. I know they've had that little bit of extra quality.
As Gitau plays a ball through to Jeremy Sivvy, wide right hand side of the penalty area. There's a hard challenge there from David Ferguson, who is judged by the referee to have got the final touch on that ball, so it will be a corner to Borough. Jeremy Sivvy still down by the advertising boards, just getting checked on now by Matty Dolan, who is like everybody's granddad out there at the minute, isn't he, Matty Dolan? Are you alright, son? You'll be alright. On you go.
Yeah, I think
there's a hard candy.
He's delighted to get a free kick out of that, because I think he kicked it straight out of play, but then maybe got challenged after the ball, so I'm sure when he heard that whistle he was delighted.
Yeah, I beg your pardon, I said corner, but it is in fact a free kick. And it's Riley McGree who is at a very acute angle. 5 minutes to go till half time. A one-man Matty Dolan wall. Plenty of bodies around the back post for Borough to pick from, one of which is Dale Fry.
There's a lovely gap there, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see it, can't you? It's just begging for someone to run into if McGree can deliver, as he hopes to now. Left-footed, and he goes for the shot at the front post, and it's saved on the line by Joel Dixon, who was almost caught on his heels but was able to throw himself to the turf to deny the Aussie.
Yeah, it was a really good save, because I didn't think he was going in that gap. I thought he was going to put it just in front of him, but he's obviously seen it and whipped it in that front post, and the keeper's reacted really well, but he's got a good strong arm on it as well and pushed it away from goal.
And that, Neil, is why Riley McGree is so dangerous, because he has that brain, doesn't he, that will pick out things that others won't.
He's certainly been our best player, creative player anyway. He's got the ball into good areas at times, and he's caused Pools a few problems.
And he's tested Joel Dixon twice now.
Yeah.
As Callum Cook does well to win it in midfield. Finds Desiree inside the centre circle. Overlaps over on the right hand side. Brodie Patterson taking up possession of the ball in front of the Borough dugout over on that far side. And Pools back with Matty Dolan. With 42 minutes on the clock. Hartlepool United 2, Borough 0, if you're just joining us on BBC Radio T Sport in this pre-season friendly. The goals coming from new signing Manny Desirue and David Ferguson, who I think many will expect to take up the captaincy in the absence of Nicky Featherstone, who looks likely to be moving away from Pools after his contract expired in the summer. But Brodie Patterson combining with the trialist trying to do it all by himself by taking on two red and white shirts there, and then wants the foul, but is denied that by the referee. And now Borough attack, and it was Brian Bilongo who did very well to carry Borough from the halfway line right up to the edge of the D, almost entirely on his own there. And it was just sheer determination to get Borough up the pitch, Neil.
He's strong, he's quick, and he hasn't had enough on the ball on that left-hand side for me. His pace, honestly is so quick, but hasn't utilised it, and we haven't really got him into the game, and that's the first really little bit of action you've seen from Brian Bilongo. Running, direct, good defending from Hartlepool though.
Header from the trialist into space. Brodie Patterson, right hand side of the penalty area, into the box, all the way through to David Ferguson on the far side. Cuts it back once more for Callum Cook onto his right foot, and he hammers it wide and into the Borough fans behind the goal away to our left. Well, the cross was inviting. It missed two blue and white shirts, arrived at the back post. Ferguson to Cook, eventually was able to dig the ball out of his feet, and he slaps his thighs in frustration, does the former Borough man, because he feels he should have done better there.
Yeah, I think he probably does think he should score there. I think some really strange defending by Gitau, the right back for it's coming in the far post. He's just inside the 6-yard box. He decides to step over it, and luckily for him, the person behind him didn't react to it. But I think he's just got to try and clear his lines there, Maddo, rather than try and be clever and step over it.
Also, Callum Cook, I think he's got to put that in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no one around him, and he just goes, he's leaning back a little bit, isn't he? And he tries to feel into the far corner with a bit of power, but it's guided. It needs to be guided, and it's a chance. Yeah, it's a real chance.
You could see what he was trying to do, but it just couldn't produce in that moment. As Cook on the ball once again, hammers a ball into the path of Patterson. Now the trialist skipping infield, the socks down around his ankle, lifts one into the area for Cook, who gives his trialist a thumbs up. The ball drops through to Liam Roberts in the Borough goal away to our left.
So what, John Askey will be absolutely delighted with the first half performance. The way they've created opportunities, the goals they've scored, and also the way they've defended.
Yeah, they've been really solid.
Solid, really solid,
and well drilled on what they want to do when they haven't got the ball.
Riley McGree just being robbed by the trialist now, who accelerates over the halfway line. Oh, nice 1-2 with Chris Ray, just slightly short though from Ray, and the trialist gets clattered in the challenge as the ball drops out of play. The half-time whistle goes, and the Hartlepool United fans in attendance rise to their feet to applaud the men in blue and white. The Borough fans on either side of the pitch, many of which are still filtering into the ground with the long queues outside the stadium. But at the break, it is Pools who take the lead and go in at the break with that 2-goal advantage, coming in that first half on 23 minutes when it was a mistake at the back by Borough. Chris Ray latched onto it wide on the left-hand side of the penalty area and put it on a plate for Manny Desiroué to tap in from close range. There was opportunities for Riley McGree, who danced his way through to test the talents of Joel Dixon, who was able to save at close range. He also had another opportunity later on from a free kick, which almost caught Dixon on his heels, but for a desperate diving save down to his front post to deny Riley McGree from the free kick, and Pools doubling the lead after a goal from David Ferguson was able to slot home from inside the area after some good build-up play between Desiroué, the trialist, and Chris Ray, who cut it back and put it on a plate for Ferguson. Still plenty to do. He had to find the area in which to slot it past Liam Roberts in the Borough goal. He did that. Borough have the work to do in the second half. Pools have the lead 2-0 to John Askey's men at the end of the first 45.
And as Rob was saying, Mickey, John Askey, I think you and Neil were both saying as well, John Askey will definitely have enjoyed a lot of what he saw there.
Yeah, 100%. I think they've played really good football. They've played in the right areas. If they've had to go long, they've gone long from the goalkeeper. They've created chances, they've scored goals. They've looked pretty solid at the back without really being tested. And I think from the first half for him, he'll be absolutely delighted with that. His trialists come and look good, look composed on the ball. So he'll be hoping that they can do exactly the same second half.
Now, the trialist. You know what'll happen now? He'll get taken off at half time, won't he? But
yes.
We seem to have come to the conclusion that a trialist is Anthony Mancini, or Mancini, depending, who you were mentioning earlier, has done the rounds a little bit. But if it is indeed him, and if he's hoping to make an impression, Mickey, I think he has done. He's been eye-catching in there. He's obviously going to work hard and try and catch the eye, but he has done.
Yeah, I think as well as his hard work, it's his quality on the ball and his ability to get into some space. And And it's always really tricky when you're a trialist or when you're a manager and you get a trialist in that does really well, because you think, do we have to sign him now? Or
It's probably really awkward as well when a certain radio station then identifies who the trialist is, so loads of clubs can hopefully try and beat him to the punch.
that's it. Ideally you want 2 or 3 games, but you might be thinking, well, someone else might be looking at him now. He's played really well. Do we sign him? And then we're not 100% sure about him. So it's a really tough situation to be in for both player and for the manager.
Well, Kevin Scott has been in touch on Twitter at BBC T Sport. He says, can Borough please sign Zinedine Zidane's son, who is on trial at Hartlepool this evening? Hackney and McNair haven't got close to him. Outstanding, that man. Neil, he's given the Borough back line all along the line and the midfield. He's given them a tough 45 minutes, hasn't he?
He has. Don't get me wrong, I think he's done well and he's caused a few problems, as have the whole squad of Hartlepool, because they deserve to be 2-0 up. They've been the better side, but you've also got to remember, you're not going to get teams that are going to play like this week in, week out in the National League. It is a tough league, and it's hustle and bustle. It's long balls, it's second balls, it's picking, it's fight. That's what it's all about. And you're playing a side in Middlesbrough that will want to play from back. Teams will not in that league. They'll go launch it up. You've got to absolutely battle for that ball, so you have to show the qualities that they've shown tonight. For me, is the footballing side. I think they've been excellent. I think they've moved the ball really well. They've been composed on the ball, and you know what, defensively they've sat off and said, come on then, come and break us down. But unfortunately we haven't been good enough to break them down, so in that scenario, I would say, listen, I think Hartlepool are being really well, but the Hartlepool fans know that it's this league. Teams will not come here.
Yeah, you won't see matches like this
you won't.
On a weekly basis.
You won't. So don't get me wrong. I think he's done really well, and he's going to be useful, because if you can get the ball down and move it and play against them big lumping sides that try and fight you and play pretty football and good football, you'll hurt teams. But as I said before, it's not always like that. So from our point of view, I think the manager will go in there and just passing's got to be better, got to move it quicker, got to create them opportunities like they have. We've overcovered at times, and we at the back, when it's that one pass has caught us out a little bit. So there's lots of things to work on. It's a first game. It's pre-season first game. I'm getting too head up about it. Yes, we're getting beat 2-0, but there's a long way. It's pre-season.
It is.
Seen it all before.
Meanwhile, Mickey's sat here with a big old smile on his face.
Yeah, I think what Maddo says is exactly right. How many teams are going to play out from the back and let you have that space when you have the ball? Like Middlesbrough aren't going to bombard the box with balls from corners and set pieces and anywhere where they can get the ball in the box. So are you going to play like that when you come up against teams that are going to put you under pressure? Can you play like that at those times? Or are you going to revert a bit more direct? Or are you going to be a bit more sort of match up to what's being done to you? So that's going to be the key when the season starts. These games are brilliant if you want to play some football and you want to look like you can play, absolutely fine. But what are you going to do when the league starts?
That's the key. Have you got the bottle to get the ball down and pass it through them teams that don't want to rough you up?
Yeah.
That's the way to beat teams, but it's having the bottle to do that.
And every team in every division wants a good front man, needs a good front man. Now, as Rob said at the outset tonight, no Josh O'Meara tonight for Hartlepool United, and everyone obviously wondering what his future is. So have they got a good front man, Mickey, in Manny Desiraway?
Well, certainly on the first 45 minutes, I think both of the two front men look decent. They look like they can cause people problems. The one thing he hasn't done is head the ball, which everyone was expecting with him being tall that he was going to come in and head the ball, but he's linked play up, he's wanted the ball, he's been clever in and around the box, as has Rhea, and have caused Middlesbrough problems. So first impressions of both of them are very good.
And Neil, one thing Michael Carrick will like, and Mickey spotted him as well, Riley McGree. All of Borough's best stuff so far has come through him, hasn't it? And that lovely jinking run into the box, selling dummies one after another, and he just lacked the finish, didn't he?
Yeah, I say it wouldn't lack the finish. I think it's a great strike. He goes for power, and to be fair, I think the Hartlepool keeper's done well. He's pulled off a couple of good saves. The free kick down on the tight area on this right-hand side as well. He bamboozles everyone and puts it in near post, but the keeper's wise to it and pulls off a really good save. But there's no doubt he's been our best player. He's been bright, he's been sharp, and when he's been on that ball, he's created opportunities for us and caused a few problems for Hartlepool. But in all, I would say the manager will be in there now and be disappointed in terms of our passing, in terms of our lack of thought. Maybe he's getting forward. How we're going to get forward. Mickey said just getting in behind, but we normally build from the likes of Riley McGree, the likes of Tuba, coming off the line and getting at their defence. It's only happened a few times, and the time it has happened, it's come from Riley McGree.
Well, Middlesbrough's sizeable subs bench is out there now, going through a little practice game, so Rob Law's worst fears may be realised come the start of the second half. Thank you, gentlemen. Mickey Barron and Neil Maddison are our expert summarisers this evening here at the break. Hartlepool United lead Middlesbrough by 2-0. Message from Sam B at the SPR Autism Development Centre. I missed this before kick-off, but Sam says, good to be back. How we've missed this. Looking forward to sending you all our predictions this season. We've got even more players, he says. We might even need our own snippet of the show to read them out. And then Sam says, I'm going 4-1 Borough win tonight. So that's gone for a Burton already, Sam, but never mind. Thank you for the message. Here's a bit of news of interest, just to football fans generally, because Luton's first Premier League home game has been postponed. That's because the club couldn't assure the Premier League and their opponents Burnley that improvement works at Kenilworth Road would be completed in time. So that game on the 19th of August will have to be rearranged. Neil's still with me. That's not the biggest surprise in the world, is it, that stand?
No, I mean, you talk about the stand, you talk about the ground. It's some people will love it. I love it. I think going back there, it's just a proper old ground. The surrounding areas, I can remember going up the steps and you're looking in someone's bedroom, aren't you? It's mad, isn't it? It's right, overlooking houses, but you've got to submit to the criteria, and if the criteria is not right with your ground, it's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, we shall see what happens with Kenilworth Road. But at the break then here, it is Hartlepool United 2, it is Middlesbrough 0.
Proud to support our local football teams.
BBC Radio T Sports.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mark Drury at Hartlepool United Suit Direct Stadium. Pre-season friendly between Pools and the Borough, and at the break, it's going the home side's way.
Middlesbrough almost causing their own problems here as the ball ricochets for Chris Ray. He nutmegs a defender and it's stabbed in by Manny Dizaroué. Welcome to Hartlepool, Manny Dizaroué. He gets his first goal in blue and white after arriving from Halifax, but the work was done by Chris Ray, who did well to pounce on a defensive mistake by Borough at the back. He nutmegged the defender, put it straight into the 6-yard box, and Dizaroué had to tap in from about a yard. It's Pools 1, it's Borough 0. Chris Ray able to run at the defence once again though, but Borough getting quickly back in numbers to just mob the man. He might break though for the trialist, who cuts it back to Ferguson and tapped in for 2. Hartlepool United double their lead in a matter of minutes, and once again Manny Dizaroué heavily involved, and the trialist, who's been busy and been persistent, was able to put it on a plate for David Ferguson, wearing the captain's armband, and was able to side foot home from inside the area. Pools 2, Borough 0.
We're as passionate as you are.
BBC Radio T's Sports.
Story of the first half then, that's how it is at the break. Second half commentary to come from Rob Law, Mickey Barron and Neil Maddison.
We're as passionate as you are.
BBC Radio T's Sports.
I was Ryan Campbell talking about Durham's win over Gloucestershire in Division 2 of the County Championship earlier this week. They're having a great season. We wonder how good a season lies in store for our two teams here this evening, Middlesbrough and the home team, Hartlepool United. I was just looking round, Rob Law, at those trees over the back of the town end, and they were whipping around the branches there in the first half, and I thought, it's settled down a bit. Not sure. I think the wind's picking up again. Anyway, second half commentary to come with Neil Maddison, Mickey Barron, and here's Rob.
Yes, and you can see the Trincomalee, which is the big ship, which you can see the three masts chasing the Cyril Knoll stand opposite us, and obviously we've had the tall ships recently, so it is decorated with loads of different flags, and if anything is going to tell you the way of the wind, it is must be 20-30 flags decorating the Trincomalee over on the horizon down towards the marina this evening as the wind does pick up and swirl around. There's been changes for Hartlepool United. We absolutely have not been told what they are or who they are, but I can tell you that one of the trialists is on. Mikhail and Jolie is on leading the line as well, as is Jake Hasty. Tom Crawford I can see on the field of play as well. Middlesbrough pretty much unchanged as far as I can recognise. So Borough as they were, with Liam Robertson goal, back four of George Gittow, Dale Fry, Brian Belongo and Terrell Adjumang. Paddy McNair and Hayden Hackney in midfield, with Sonny Finch, Riley McGree, Marcus Force supplying Jeremy Sivvy up front. A first touch for Kieran Burton, who is another half-time substitute and one of the first arrivals this summer after last season playing a bit part towards the end with Scarborough Athletic. Borough on the attack with Belongo on this near side. He feints one way and the other, stands up Jake Hasty, now to Hackney. Short pass square to Adjumang, turning away from one of the trialists with bright blonde hair. Out to the right now. And Sonny Finch does well to skip infield. Hackney, can he create a bit of magic as he did so many times last season? McGree, a sliding challenge there from Tom Crawford as the ball goes out for a throw-in to Middlesbrough at the start of this second half, with Pools leading by 2-0. Plenty of changes, Mickey.
Yeah, I think they might have changed shape as well. I think they might have gone to a back four and gone 4-3-3 just with the looking at the personnel and the way they're lined up, but we'll let it settle down. But I think they might have gone to a flat back four and put three up front. And
Pete Jameson in goal, which Mickey, you mentioned at the break. He spotted straight away. He said, they changed the goalkeeper, so a chance for Pete Jameson to try and put himself in the thoughts of John Askey, especially after the first half that Joel Dixon had with two vital saves. Good ball forward towards Sonny Finch inside the Pools penalty area. Can't quite get the connection he needs as the ball bobbles and bounces up. An easy save in the end for Pete Jameson away to our left. Surprised there hasn't been any changes, Maddle, from a Borough perspective, or do you think that will come later?
I'm pleased, hasn't. I think it's minutes in the legs, and as a player, you don't. Me and Mickey were talking at half time. You don't want to come off. You want to play as long as you can, get a good shift in, and that's how you build up pre-season.
Yeah, and I think we were speaking at half time as well, before all the sports scientists got involved. I think the manager might have given them a bit of a, you need to get yourselves back out there after that first half. But I think the players do want to play, don't they? They want to get back into the game and finish on a little bit of a high before. We probably will see a lot of changes later in the game.
Well, pre-seasons are often commentators' nightmares, because there are often like 11 changes or whatnot. But just to put it into some sort of perspective, they're also a nightmare because team sheets are often very deceiving. So for example, on Hartlepool United's team sheet, it says number 12 Pete Jameson, who is in goal, or at least I think he's in goal, because there's a number 12 wearing a blue and white shirt who's also an outfield player. So Pete Jameson clearly is multifaceted this evening, although I think the actual number 12 is really Joe Gray.
Yeah, the one thing with Pete, Robert, and if you haven't seen him much of him play, he's a really good goalkeeper, but he really will talk to the players. You'll hear him. I remember when he was at York, he's non-stop talking to the back four and giving them information and then making sure they're doing what he wants to do, which I think is vital from a goalkeeper's point of view.
Absolutely, and was one of the criticisms of Ben Killip in seasons gone by about commanding his area and talking to his defences. as Dan Dodds goes searching for Mikhail and Jolie. Just brushed off the ball too easily there by Dale Fry, who does well, but Gray picks it up, circles away from danger and gives it back to Pete Jameson, dressed all in green with thick white goalkeeping gloves on his mitts. Our way to our left hand side, decides to go long. Dale Fry easily gets the beating of Mikhail and Jolie. So to the faithful listeners of BBC Radio T Sport, who helped us brilliantly by identifying the trialist in the first half from a Pool's perspective, is Anthony Mancini, former French under-19 international. He did very, very well and has now gone off. But we now have two other Hartlepool United trialists. So
signing a 4-year deal.
Yeah, he's upstairs.
Yes. But well, I think John Askey will be trying to tie him to a 4-year deal, won't he, after that first half? But so we're trying to identify two other trialists. So if I'm just saying, if anybody else wants to help us out with that.
Yeah, for any of the Hartlepool fans that listen, one of the trialists looks like Darren Holden that used to play.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not Daz, because he looks like he's a bit fitter than Daz is, but he does look like him.
That's a good shout, actually. It's a very good shout. Mikhail and Jolie colliding with Hayden Hackney, I beg your pardon. Hackney coming off better in that exchange, and now a chance for Guitao to run past one of the Pool's trialists over in front of the Cyril Knowles stand. And as the short black dreadlocks and the bright orange boots, the other trialist with bright blonde hair. Most definitely not medium to long length, but most definitely short.
Is it blonde though?
It is definitely blonde. It is definitely blonde. Not even of the strawberry variety either. As Paddy McNair picks up possession, squares it to Dale Fry. Looking long. Oh, there's a great pass and a great run as well by Riley McGree. Just too much on it though, as it's picked out by Pete Jameson in the Pool's goal. Some interesting selections this evening from a John Askey point of view. So Mikhail and Jolie is a player who last season we thought was done and dusted out at Pools. He was very much into the shadows and cast aside, was never in the matchday squad towards the back end of the season. I think there was a bit of a falling out with Keith Curl at one stage as well. Surprised to see him back, and Brodie Patterson, another one who is back into the fold this evening. With Burr on the attack with Belongos. Good sliding challenge from Jake Hasty, who has a lot to prove this season. A lot was hoped of him when he arrived, but very little materialised in the end. But it is a corner to Middlesbrough. And I tell you what, you guys work quick. I love radio. This is why I love radio. Thank you to, what's the name on that one?
Steve Arundale.
Well done, Steve. Lewis Longstaff apparently is the blonde trialist who looks like Darren Holden. Whether Lewis will be happy with that comparison.
Well, I haven't got my glasses on, so from up here, he definitely does. Either that or Billy Idol.
Now you're talking Neil Madison's kind of language.
Oh, yeah. He just nodded, didn't he? Oh, yeah, Billy.
Yeah. Me and Billy go way back. I mean, our Bills.
What's that song? White Wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah. They don't need your karaoke at this point, Maddo, but thank you. Goes up into the air. Hayden Hackney trying for a spectacular overhead kick that doesn't come off. Ajimang out to the left hand side towards the number 18 Bryant Belongo, who doesn't quite get on the end of it, and out for a throw-in. Very good on the karaoke though, aren't you, Neil? You are allowed to say yes. The look on his face there,
I do like it. I only go on the karaoke when I've had a drink, that's all.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of people will say that. You do, Mick, as well, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love it. Even without a drink.
Please drink responsibly. Anyway, on we go. And sing responsibly, yeah. Or not sing at all if you have to put up with Neil Madison's karaoke in your local gaff.
What's your song of choice, Mano?
Neil Diamond.
Is it?
I would have had you as Neil Diamond, I can see that.
Forever in blue jeans.
Now we're talking. I mean, I know people are here for the football, but this is the stuff they really want to know. Neil Diamond. I'm going to start calling you the Diamond from now on.
Better take that as well sometimes.
Oh, okay. I thought you pegged as a Luther Vandross kind of guy. No, not a Luther.
Although it's my era, that Luther.
Yeah. I've heard you hit those high notes in the car on the away journeys. Anyway, try list. The one that's not Lewis Longstaff collects it, and then Lewis Longstaff gets on the end of it to Burton out on the left-hand side. A sliding challenge there just stops him in his tracks. So a throw into Pools. 55 minutes on the clock. Pools leading by 2-0. And the try list winning a corner for Pools over on the far side.
It feels like it's a bit disjointed, doesn't it, the second half, with Hartlepool making quite a few changes, and they haven't really started the second half as they finished the first half, so hopefully they can get that going again.
Corner whipped in by Pools, bounces down and rebounds inside the area, almost turned goalwards by, I think it was Tom Crawford in the end. He was the man with his hands on top of his head. It bounced and bobbled around and came off a knee in the end, I think, and just flashed wide.
Yeah, I think it goes in near post, and I think Dale Fry is the one that tries to head it away, but he doesn't get enough on it. Comes to the back post, and it's a little bit of a scramble, but just goes past the far post.
And it speaks of that disjointedness from Borough, Neil, that we've been talking about.
I think both teams, second half, have come out. I mean, Mickey's right, Hartlepool have made quite a few changes and a little bit just disjointed and not really flown like they were first half. I think we've been slightly better in the second half, but as yet we haven't really got into good positions to create opportunities.
And just had the attendance confirmed, 5,617. That's including 2,331 from Borough. I don't know how many are still queuing outside, but that's how many made it in.
That's really good, isn't it? It's a really good crowd, and really
incredible.
good from Middlesbrough to bring that many fans.
And that, for the club, for Hartlepool, will be huge, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it starts the pre-season off really well for them, doesn't it? And get some money in, and as you say, it's a good start, and it will really be helpful for them.
Throw into Pools then, inside their own half. Kieran Burton cushions down to Tom Crawford, squares it to Dan Dodds inside his own penalty area, but just shifting across and trying to put a bit of pressure on the ball, but now Joe Gray has done well to skip infield, create a bit of space past Hackney, and Hackney drags him down. Pools have a free kick midway inside the Borough half, and a bit of exchange of words there from Joe Gray and Hayden Hackney. Pools taking the free kick quickly to the try list on the byline, cuts it back towards Gray. Yeah, I thought that was out. And the linesman eventually flags on this near side for a goal kick.
Yeah, that just shows what Joe Gray can do, doesn't he? He received the ball so well there and turned past Hackney, and I think Hackney got a little bit frustrated with him, didn't he? And just sort of sided them down a little bit. It does show what quality he's got, but he needs to do it more often. He needs to have more impact on the games that he plays so he can become a regular in the team.
I think these are substitutions that you're dreading, Rob.
Well, not just me. I mean, you've got to identify him as well, which is all part of the comedy of it. But yes, you're right. I mean, there's a few warming up behind there. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's going to be an 11 for an 11 change, like it's been for Pools pretty much. But you can see 3 subs ready to come on. There's Brodie Patterson. Well, it looked like he just about kept it in on this near side, but the linesman flags, and it is a Borough throw, which means we are going to see the changes. I wonder if they're going to even bother with the board, the digital board. Vicky Barron's shaking his head at me in comic fashion as if to say, you wish. Well, yes, Sonny Finch and Jeremy Civvy going off, Riley McGree as well. So
the right back, is he going off, or is he just...
So Finch, Civvy and McGree go off.
No, I think McGree was just walking over.
Right, yes, no, he was just...
Gone.
It did look like he was going to make a move. Instead, it's George Gittout who has gone off.
Jack Stott in the midfield, AJ Bridge left hand side, and AJ Matthews up top.
Oh, look at that, eh? No flies on you.
No, it's not. It's Charlie Lennon. Sorry.
Oh, okay, I take
Charlie
it back.
Lennon.
Take it back. Charlie Lennon comes on, as does Jack Stott and AJ Bridge.
No, it's not.
Oh, away.
AJ Matthews.
Away, man.
AJ Matthews.
You just come on.
I thought it was AJ Bridge, Charlie Lennon there, but it's not. It's Charlie Lennon, AJ Matthews, and Jack Stott.
Just as well we have pre-season as well, isn't it, eh?
There was only 3 come on, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
There you are.
Yeah. At least we know you can count. Well, they didn't put the digital board up, but well done to Greg, the PA man, who is going to give it a good go for those in attendance. Free kick to Borough inside their own half. And McNair goes back to his goalkeeper in Liam Roberts. And it is a very flat second half, which you would expect with the amount of changes, as we mentioned, but
I think Adjiman's just gone to play right back, hasn't he, and been replaced in midfield, so we'll see what he's like on that right back position.
Hackney does well, nice 1-2
He's
there.
played there for Man City. That was a few of the positions, sitting in midfield and also right back.
Now McGree striding forward, trying to make something happen, but the ball just wriggles away from him and out of play for a goal kick.
That's just where it hasn't quite happened, Maddo, is it? That little pass, that final little ball into the penalty area, or the little run's not quite right, and it's just broken down a few too many times.
And Neil, while we have this break in play and the fact that it's a little bit flat at the minute, I mean, of Middlesbrough's signings so far this summer, what do you make of it? Sonny Dieng is obviously one of the standout signings.
Yeah, I think it's all potential. Sonny Dieng is obviously decent keeper, but let's have a look at this first, Rob.
A good play from Joe Gray to the trialist, who tries to deliver low into the penalty area, but cut out by Dale Fry. But a nice little flick behind his standing leg from Joe Gray there, which got a lot of oohs and ahs from those in attendance this evening. Brodie Patterson has taken a seat down inside the centre circle, which is never good. Might just force John Askey's hand here.
They're signalling for a sub straight away, so there's obviously something that he's probably known about before he's gone back out for the second half.
So we think we may have the identity of other trialists. Take this with a pinch of salt, though. This is just a bit of MacGyvery and guesswork on our behalf. But Amika Anthony, QPR under 21s.
I just love the fact that people are sending these in and we're automatically like, yeah, that's him. So we know the other lad's called something because someone sent in. But
what's that saying? If you throw enough something or other at it, some of it'll stick. Yeah. Well, that's what it is. We'll go with that. Well, Brodie Patterson lifts himself up off his feet and turns to applaud all 4 corners of the stadium. A man who will be hoping to impress John Askey after a move from Scotland that didn't quite work out under Hartley or Keith Curle. Ended up sent out on loan. But what did you make of him?
To be honest, I think he's done all right tonight. I think he's looked solid. He hasn't got forward that much, but in the system he's looked quite solid. He looks like he knows what position he's playing in, and I think he'll be quite happy with his night, apart from obviously having to go off with that slight injury.
And for the trialist hunters amongst you, we have another one who's come on to replace him. So Brodie Patterson off and another trialist on. You can tell because the trialists don't have numbers on the back of the shirts. Poole's in possession with Dan Dodds, who looks to bring it out from the back. That's the trialist who skips and then tries a diagonal ball, which is hit with some power and some weight to find the other trialist. Out to the left now for Kieran Burton, delivered into the area towards Njoli, but easily cut out by Borough in the end. Hackney and McGree combined to try and slip a counter, and McGree has been caught and has a free kick for good measure, taking it short to Hackney, across to Paddy McNair. Bit of speculation about his future in a Borough shirt in the last couple of days, Maddo.
I think there's going to be speculation about everyone because you're into pre-season, you've seen transfer windows, and just think it's part and parcel of football. Before you get a few in, and all of a sudden you need to balance the books, and you get a few out. They've got to be the correct ones.
How much work do you think there is still to do in the transfer window for Borough and Michael Carrick?
Still a lot, I think. As I said before, you brought him. Let's have a look here.
Yeah, good counterplay from Borough, and shot from distance to try and catch Pete Jameson off his line, and it hits off the crossbar, and it was AJ Matthews who did well to collect it, turn good 30 plus yards out, and unleashed a right-footed shot which almost caught out Pete Jameson.
It's a great strike from AJ. Lovely strike, 30 yards out, sets himself and lets go. Catches the keeper out, hits the top of the bar and goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was clever link up from him.
Yeah,
He linked up really well, and then
he's
sat off him, and he took his chance and had a shot.
AJ's under 18 in the academy. Charlie Lennon exactly the same as well,
and they're looking for him again. He just gets a nudge off the back of Dodds, might get it back here, right down in front of Pete Jameson, who slides in and collides with AJ Matthews. And it was Brian Belongo who did well to receive the pass and float it low into the area towards Matthews, but Jameson brave there to dive in at the feet of the Borough youngster.
Yeah, good job. AJ's not that well built, because I think if he'd gone in with a bit more power there, it could have hurt Jameson. But Jameson is strong, so hopefully there's no damage. But I think he probably would have reacted a little bit differently if it was a bit heavier.
We were talking earlier about a good sliding challenge there from Tom Crawford to pick out Gray. Now the blonde-haired trialist finds Gray once more, but that pass is intercepted by Borough. McGree on the halfway line, just trying to hold off two blue and white shirts, one of which is Kieran Burton, and then McGree goes back in against Burton, and the referee blowing up here as those two had a little back and forth and a few words exchanged, but it's a free kick to Pools. It's a friendly, lads, calm down.
I think McGree thought he was foul first and foremost, and it's a little bit redemption there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any such thing as a friendly. I think, especially in a situation like that, when you think you've been hard done to, and then you go back, don't you?
And it shouldn't be, though, should it?
No, definitely not.
You know, you talk about pre-season games. There's no friendlies. As I said before, you've got to put yourself about the pitch and get yourself into the manager's head. And there's been lots of changes on our part. 2-0 down. First half, I would say there's no excuses. First half, we just weren't really at it. Never created many opportunities other than McGree's chances.
Long ball forward, looking for Jake Hasey, who's just been rugby tackled by Brian.
I think that might be a foul.
I actually thought it was offside.
Do you think it might be a foul?
I thought it was offside there. Maybe fair linesman.
I mean, I really do hope Brian Belongo has a future in football, but if he doesn't, he really should take up rugby, because I mean that was a brilliant tackle.
He tackled him really well around the waist, but then kept hold of him as well to drag him down. So yeah, I thought he was offside as well, Matt, off the first pass.
Thought he was going to pull out a full-on German suplex there on him or something, but instead it's a free kick to Hartlepool United. The weird and wonderful in pre-season. The two trialists stand over it, so either way, the trialist is going to take it. A one-man Borough wall. It's either going to be right foot or the left, and it is the left by the blonde-haired trialist. Comes back to Burton, just tries to punt it long. Might fall for Dodds over on the left-hand side, just tangles with Adjumang. And out for a throw-in with 70 minutes on the clock. Hartlepool United 2, Borough 0. If you're just joining us on BBC Radio T Sport, thanks for being with us. We'll also be at York tomorrow with Mark Drury and Neil Maddison providing every kick of that one. There's Pools with the trialist trying to twist and turn and create some space at the byline. Picks out Crawford, does well inside the area and goes down. The referee waves away. Thoughts on that?
Not for me. I think he's just turned into him.
He turns into him.
I'm not 100% sure what penalties are given for these days, but definitely not that.
Pools in possession with Gray, prods the ball into the path of the trialist, tries to wriggle his way past Adjumang and does on the byline, but Adjumang does well to recover a slide in and take the ball and win the free kick, because, well, we said the same about Brian Belongo a few moments ago, but Joe Gray showing that he also has good talents in other sports there by completely blocking off the Borough man.
Yeah, again, I think it's just a bit of frustration that the trialist pass into the box wasn't great, and he probably thought he could have had the ball, and then as the Middlesbrough players got it, he's just gone in and fouled him and given away a cheap free kick. Belongo infield looking for Jack Stott, who spreads the ball beautifully out to the right hand side. Borough drifting infield towards AJ Matthews, but Poole's able to just snuff out the danger and clear back short of the halfway line. Pools 2, Borough 0 on BBC Radio T Sport. The 2 goals coming in the first half by Manny Desirue and David Ferguson, but Borough in this second half trying to give themselves a chance. He did really well there, Dodgy, in a covering position there. He went across and just looked strong, didn't he? He looked strong against the Middlesbrough player and got the ball and managed to pass out. As Dodds once again goes back to Pete Jameson there for safe keeping. Mikael and Jolie colliding with Dale Fry. And it is going to be a free kick to Borough. How much, I wanted to ask both of you this, how much in pre-season from a managerial perspective, as much as it's about getting, trying your trialists and seeing if they can earn themselves a deal and get minutes in the legs, how much of it is also giving players who perhaps aren't part of the plans a chance to impress scouts who might be watching and get those who aren't in your plans off the wage bill or out of the club? Yeah, definitely, but I think they've got to be on the pitch. Yes. Let's just break here because in the penalty area. Riley McGree turning, receiving it, arrived on the right hand side, but he's inside the box now, wriggling around trying to find a pass. Hackney provides it but gives it straight back to McGree, whose shot is blocked and balloons out for a throw-in over on this near side. I'm just thinking the likes of Mikael and Jolie and players who didn't really have a lot to do last season. Yeah, 100%. I think either that or you can are they good enough to get back in your plans? I think you can use it 2 ways, to either put them in the shop window or see if they can play themselves back in your plans. A change for Borough that sees Marcus Force go off. I'm just waiting for the Borough player to turn around so I can see the number on his back, because the both officials have clearly just not bothered with the digital boards this evening. Neil Madison's keeping a close eye and sees. I think it's is it Simwa? A quick look now. We'll see when he turns around, but he's got a white strapping around his wrist. Pools have a throw-in inside their own half. I think it's 16, is it? Nathan Simpson. Yeah, Simwa said Simwa. Yeah, looks like Nathan Simpson. It is, I think. Well, the atmosphere and the play pretty flat at the minute, with just over 15 minutes to go. The Pools 2-0 up against much changed Middlesbrough as Dan Dodds goes across the face of his own goal to Eden Pruty. Now Burton, first time down towards the trialist, who twists and turns past Adjumang. You hear the shouts of "go on" from in front of us in the Neil Cooper stand. The cross from the trialist towards Njoli, but cut out by Borough. Burton now to the trialist once more, right at the far side of the pitch. On the touchline, Crawford does well to show nice sleight of feet, and then brings in the other trialist on this near side with the yellow boots on his feet. Now Jake Hasty skips infield, drives towards the centre of the pitch, being watched by Belongo, wrestling with him, and Belongo pulls down Hasty with a handful of shirt. And then Belongo turns around as if to say, "What, me? What was I doing?" Yeah, the trialist on the far side, he's got some good tricks, he's got some good pace, but 3 or 4 times he's been down that left-hand side and his cross hasn't been very good. It's not got past the first defender for Middlesbrough, but he is getting into some good areas. He just needs to improve the quality on his final ball. So free kick to Pools, and this is in an enticing position. Tom Crawford is the man who's claimed the free kick.
It's the right foot of Crawford. There is a 4-man Borough wall. Liam Roberts is perched on his line. Crawford, right-footed, over the wall and over the crossbar, and still Pools 0, Borough 0 with 15 left to go. And I tell you what, chaps, that clock is moving very slow away to my right. Very slow.
Yeah, there hasn't been a great deal second half, has it? Even the sort of patterns of play has been disrupted, or the passing's been a bit sloppy at times. We've had one or two slight moments where we hit the crossbar before, but it's almost like fizzling out already, which is a bit of a shame because the first half was really, really good.
You can see a few in attendance who are making their way off, leaving their seats and heading out of the ground. As Pools have a throw-in on this near side, controlled on the chest by Tom Crawford, circles away and finds Dodds. As Borough shift up the pitch, and Pete Jameson able to give it back to Dodds away to our left-hand side. I'll ask you both this, but Mickey, with you first of all, from a Pools perspective, who's stood out for you this evening? Who's impressed you?
To be honest, first off, I thought the trialist was good.
Which one?
I think Dodds has been really strong tonight. I think his quality on the ball, he looks quick, he looks strong. He's playing in a different position now. You can see him now organising the defence, and for me, he's probably been the standout player of the game for me so far.
That's something that he had to bring into his game, Dodgy, because he tended to be quiet. But you look at him on the pitch, and I got told this. I can't believe how vocal he is.
You can see him now, can't you?
And I was really surprised because he's not like that, and bringing that into your game brings a new dimension out in yourself. You know, it improves you massively, and he's took on them leadership qualities, which I think is great for him.
Yeah, he's really impressed me tonight.
And Neil, from a Borough perspective, I know it's difficult with it being such a much changed Borough side. Yeah,
I wouldn't be too disappointed. It's the first pre-season game, and it's this team. It's going to be totally changed before the kick-off comes against Millwall. So it's about fitness. It's about getting time on the pitch. And as I said, it's pretty much a side full of youngsters, a couple of senior ones in there. I don't think the manager will be over disappointed. I think you'll be thinking about fitness, sharpness, and it'll get better as pre-season goes on.
Borough in possession then, inside their own half, with Jack Stott. Floats a ball out to the right-hand side. Borough on the attack, sliding challenge there from Kieran Burton.
He's done well, Stotty.
Yeah, he sees the ball go out for a corner.
Yeah, I watched him in a under 21, under 23 game last year, and I was impressed with him. His quality on the ball.
Yep.
He picks out a nice pass as well, and he's doing that tonight.
No, he's a good player. He's got a great strike on him as well.
Corner quickly taken by Borough. Riley McGree trying to find a way through. Shot which is saved by the feet of Jameson. He might get another chance. He lays it off for Hackney, who flashes a right boot at it. Takes a deflection out to the byline. Floated into the back post. There's a red shirt down inside the penalty area. Nothing given from the referee, and Pools tried to break it clear with Crawford, who just hits it into the Borough half of play for safekeeping. That was a bit more like it from Borough.
Yeah, Backstick stood it up, and I think it's AJ Matthews that goes down.
Yeah, I think you're right.
For a pen, but doesn't get it.
AJ Matthews has another opportunity here though. Thinks about the shot, then doubles back on himself, lays it off for McGree, edge of the D, can't find space to get the shot away. Adjuman comes in, sliding challenge from the blonde-haired trialist, which sees the ball arrive at the feet of Pete Jameson, on loan from Harrogate for the season, who just tells everybody around him to calm down for a minute or two.
Just slightly concerning there from a Hartlepool point of view. The first little bit of pressure, and Pruty, as he just slashed at the ball rather than having that composure in the box, and that led to them having another chance. And you just think they haven't been under that much pressure, but the first sort of sign, he's not really cleared his lines that well, and they're the sort of decisions that in other games could lead to goals going in. So it's something that they're going to have to defend really well this season, Hartlepool, and signs you might be getting tired, to be fair to them, but it's just making sure those clearances go out the box and don't lead any chances.
That's a good point. And when you look at the two keepers specifically, Mickey, I mean, Joel Dixon, who obviously had a very impressive first half with those two big saves from Riley McGree, the shots from Riley McGree that were saved. Who do you see starting in goal for Pools? Do you see it as Pete Jameson, or do you see it as Joel Dixon? As I say that, Pete Jameson just skews a clearance up into the night sky.
Yeah, I don't know as much about Dixon, but what I like about Pete is he's just organising all the time. He's constantly talking. He's a good presence. He's got a lot of experience. So I think it will be a tough decision, but I think it'll depend on how pre-season goes and if both keepers are fit at the start of the season. But I'd be surprised if Pete doesn't start the season.
Two changes for Borough that sees Hayden Hackney and Riley McGree go off. Two more Borough youngsters head out onto the pitch.
AJ Bridge is one of them.
Well, we got there eventually with AJ Bridge, didn't we? Second time around.
AJ Bridge, and it's Finley Cartwright, I think. Yeah, Finley.
Oh, well played, Neil Maddison. Eagle-eyed Neil Maddison.
Finley's only a first year YT as well. Well, scholar. It's a good player, Finley.
Oh, Matthews just brushed off the ball by Dodds. Joe Gray does well to nick the ball in between two red shirts, which draws applause from the Hartlepool United fans in attendance. I mentioned the attendance earlier, but if you've just tuned in, thank you for your company. Pools 2, Borough 0. 5,617 in attendance, including 2,331 from Borough, many of which missed the first 45 minutes, it seems, from pictures on social media. But Pools pick up the ball in the centre-back position, just slowly drifting forward with Hasty. Infield, it was loose by Hasty, allows AJ Matthews to collect the ball from distance, tries to curl one. It's going to need to be something special from there, but he showed early on that he did have that in his locker when he clipped the crossbar with his shot. That time wasn't quite the same quality.
He ain't passing AJ. He loves to score goals, and 25 yards out, pretty much central, gets it on his right foot and tries to bend it in that far corner. It's not a bad effort. He's been bright, actually.
Yeah, he looks like he's got something about him, doesn't he?
It was a poor pass from Hasty, though, from trying to play it inside the pitch into midfield. If that gets cut out, your two centre-halves are spread, and as you say, it's straight into the Middlesbrough striker for a shot on goal. You've got to be really accurate with that pass or not play that type of pass.
8 minutes left to play. Pools 2, Borough 0. Long thrown over the top from Kieran Burton. The trialist is in here, left-hand side. He's got bodies arriving inside the box. Hasty is there, but it's plucked out of the air at the front post by Liam Roberts.
Mickey said before, the trialist on that left-hand side, quick, direct, he's got into good positions, but he's crossed. He's got to be picking someone out. He's got to put it in an area where it gives you a chance to put it in the back of the net, and every cross has gone to the near post or gone into the keeper's hands, and it's been cleared by us.
Pools with the ball, and Crawford just circling away from Finn Cartwright. Trialist back to Dodds inside his own half, and that pass is cut out, but the other trialist picks it up to Kieran Burton, former Scunthorpe man. Now the trialist once again down that left-hand side. Can he deliver better this time? He feints to cross, stops the ball dead, goes back on himself, twisting, turning, trying to create some space. The cross is into the area, but easily cleared by Dale Fry. And out into touch, into the Neil Cooper stand.
Yeah, again, he's done well to get in a position to cross it, but it's just that final ball was slightly disappointing again, and not giving any of the strikers a chance to get onto the ball in the box.
After this point, as we edge towards the end of the match, give a mention to Dave Brown and Steve, the groundsman, who have been working on this pitch since the end of last season. I bumped into Dave yesterday when I came to just test things from a broadcasting standpoint, and was talking to him about the work that had gone into the ground. And he puts in the shift, doesn't he? And he's been here almost over 30 years now. He was telling me about the times when you used to play and telling me his sweet little nickname for you, which is P-Head. You seem to remember.
Yeah, lovely nickname,
Yes,
that, isn't it?
yes.
Well, I'll tell you a few nicknames I've got for him if you want. But
He told me them, but we can't unfortunately say them on the radio. Your nicknames for him.
yeah, but I mean, Dave's always worked really hard on the pitch. He takes it really serious, and he doesn't always get the money he probably needs to get it in tip-top condition, but does spend hours and hours and hours. I just wish at one point in his life he would actually smile.
He did say to me, you know, promise me you'll call him P-Head on the radio.
I've been called worse.
He said he might get angry. I said no, he won't. He'll be alright. Borough on the attack then, striding forward through the centre of the pitch, and Joe Gray is judged to have fouled his man, and this could just open up an opportunity for Borough from the free kick, but it was Jack Stott once again.
Yeah, I've been pleased with Jack. I'm really pleased with him. He's been bright, his passing's been good, he's always wanted it. He's that deep lying midfielder that sits in there, but he's done well.
But this is what we're talking about before, Matt. Sorry, Rob.
That's right.
He's not going to get in Middlesbrough's first team this year, but there's a fair chance he could come on loan.
Yeah.
Or, do you know, that they're the type of thing that the manager will go, do you know what, I really liked him when he came on, and he's doing himself the world of good tonight.
Absolutely.
And he stood and claiming it looks like this free kick was him.
Fancy it.
And another over the
AJ
ball.
Bridge.
AJ Bridge.
He's got a great delivery as well.
It's Stott, tries to beat the wall, but the ball clatters into the man on the outside of the blue and white wall. Out it comes to McNair. And now Dale Fry inside the centre circle. 4 minutes left to play, and Borough starting to edge up the pitch and ask more questions of Pools defensively. But a good interception there from one of the trialists, who steps out from the back and then tries to find Mikhail Njoli, but the pass was blocked, and Bolongo does well to shrug off the advances. Now Stott once more picks out the pass to Ajimang, drifting infield and out to the right hand side in front of the Cyril Knowles stand. Stott, and now the Hartlepool United fans taking the opportunity to enjoy the first chance they've had to see their new look team. As the ball drops inside the Pool's half, and Crawford just nudges the ball into the path of one of the defensive trialists, and goes back to Dan Dodds, who finds Pete Jameson and thumps long, looking for Joe Gray. And Joe Gray is one of those players, Mickey, who Poolies love him, and many just want him to get a chance in a good run in the first team to show what he can really do, because whenever he's come on, whenever he's had the opportunity, he's always provided and he's always produced.
Yeah, that's right. He's obviously got a lot of talent, he's got a lot of ability on the ball, but it's maybe trying to get him into a system or into a position that really suits him, so you can get him into the team on a regular basis. He's at the age now where he probably does need to be playing a run of games, but if he did that, there's no reason why he couldn't start 20 games and get a move. You know, he's got the ability to do that, but he's got to somehow get a position in the team.
A change for Borough, which I'll tell you about in a minute, is one of the trialists at the byline trying to produce a cross into the area. Goes over the top of everybody and out to the far side, which is picked up by Jake Hasty, who commands possession of the ball. Thinks about delivering an early cross. Instead he goes out to the right hand side of the trialist, tried to nutmeg Bolongo there, but it didn't quite come off, and Borough have it with Stott. And now
Jack Hanna, the lad who's come on.
Yeah, Jack Hanna has come on for Dale Fry.
Good player, Jack.
I was going to say, what can you tell us about Jack Hanna?
He's a good player. Really like him. Ball player. Quick. So his injuries, he's been unlucky with injuries, but tell you what, when he's fit and he's up and running, he's a real good player. Confidence player as well.
And we're talking about Jack Stott, but just in that moment there, the ball fizzing around in the air, and he just pulled it out the air, controlled it beautifully, and passed it on.
You know what? I've been pleased with the boys that have come on.
Yeah.
You know, the substitutions. Only young lads, but they've really got into the game and done well.
Bolongo with a cross into the 6-yard box, and Kieran Burton just has to make sure and nudge it behind for a corner.
I think they've actually looked brighter in the final third, second half than they did in the first half.
Yeah, 100%. They've got forward, they've got into good positions. AJ Matthews at times has looked bright, got a shot off, hit the bar, and they've linked up better.
It looks like there's going to be another substitution from John Askey and Hartlepool United. That will come shortly, but Borough have this corner as many more continue to filter out of the ground with final few seconds left of this pre-season friendly, and Pools leading by 2-0. Well, Mikhail Njoli has gone off, which is an interesting move considering he only came on at half-time, for a man with no number on his back. Short corner from Borough, edge of the box, turning, trying to deliver into the area, and a header from AJ Matthews inside the 6-yard box that went over the top of the crossbar of Pete Jameson, and Matthews just lets out an almighty roar into the night sky. He knows that could have been his moment, Maddo.
Yeah, he does really well. Nathan Simpson on the right hand side, it's a lovely ball into the near post, and the connection, he gets it, but the direction, he's just got to let that ball slide off his head. It's in the back of the net, and he gets too much on it.
Jake Hasty picks up a loose defensive header from Adjumang. The fans encouraging him to shoot. Instead he goes out to the left for the trialist with the orange boots, who tries to deliver. Blocked, might fall to Crawford, but gets a little shove in the back, and Borough dispossess the men in blue and white. And now it's the red shirts who mob round the football and look to try and pull themselves up the pitch with Bolongo. Infield once again to Stott, who's seen a lot of the ball since he came on, but he's just been brushed off it by Crawford, and illegally, says the referee, who points for a free kick to Borough. Strange one, that, Mikhail Njoli. I mean, the fact that he only came on at half-time and now he's been pulled off.
Yeah, there doesn't seem anything in the game where he's been in contact with anyone, so unless it's like a muscle strain and he's signalling, he hasn't been any real physical challenges on him or anything like that. So yeah, it's a bit odd as well, because he just seemed to walk off, didn't he, and sort of signal that he was coming off. So I can only think it's some tear or a little muscle injury that he's feeling.
Borough in possession, and forward they come once more. Pools trying to get organised at the back, flat back four with those sitting in front. Cross delivered into the area. Pete Jameson does well to just just collects it inside his 6-yard area, collapses down on top of the ball, and that will be about that, you would expect, as Jameson balls the ball out underarm to Eden Pruti. And I think from tonight's game, the one thing that Hartlepool United fans will be taking away from this is whoever that trialist was, if it was Anthony Mancini in the first half, then sign him up. But also good to see Manny Desirue open his account for his new team.
I think the front two was a real positive for the first half as well. The two new lads playing up front linked up well. They had a little bit of craft about them. And he got his goal, so really positive signs for them. But chance here for Middlesbrough.
AJ Matthews does well to win it and slots one home, and Middlesbrough have a goal back. It was a defensive mistake, but AJ Matthews did well. He used his strength, he turned into the area, one-on-one with Pete Jameson, and was able to slot it past the Harrogate loanee to give Borough a goal right at the death in this game. A great finish from the youngster, and a moment he will, I'm sure, remember for quite some time.
That's a good finish. Disappointing from Dodsey. Daniel Dodsey does really well to get away from him. It's a little chop and he gets away from AJ Matthews, but to be fair to AJ, he hustles him, he gets around him, and I think it's AJ Bridge as well that gets in there, and they both tackle him. Falls to AJ Matthews and he slots it underneath.
He's deserved
Jameson.
that, Maddo,
I think he's done really well.
That.
You know what? I've been really pleased with the academy boys that have come on.
There's a full-time whistle. That is it. So pre-season underway for both teams. New campaigns on the horizon. One in the Championship, one in the National League. Both, though, fighting and aiming for promotion from their respective divisions. But on this occasion, it is Hartlepool United who end the night with the spoils. 2-1 they win, thanks to an impressive first half where they were busy, creative, and they found the back of the net thanks to Manny Desirue, who tapped in from A good play from Chris Ray, who put it on a plate for the New Pool striker to tap in from about a yard out. And then good interplay again from Hartlepool United, from Dizaruwe into the trialist in that first half, who really impressed. Chris Ray into David Ferguson, who was able to side foot past Liam Roberts to make it 2-0. Riley McGree went close on a number of occasions for Borough. One inside the area, dancing through, going past many blue and white shirts, and his right-footed shot, his weaker foot, was saved by Joel Dixon. And then McGree denied again by Dixon from a free kick at an acute angle. Tried a little cheeky shot at the front post, but Dixon throwing himself to the turf to deny the Aussie. And right at the death, with changes aplenty for both teams, it was AJ Matthews who hustled and harried and won the ball right on the edge of the Pool's penalty area. Drove inside the box, had composure, he was cool, he was calm, and he slotted it past Pete Jameson to get a goal back for Borough right at the end. And it ends Pools 2, Borough 1.
And Neil Maddison and Mickey Barron, our expert summarisers tonight. Mickey, we'll start with you first as the home team. John Askey, he's seen his team, you mentioned particularly in the first half, it was just the atmosphere. It actually felt like a proper game of football at times, didn't it, in the first half? He saw his team really stand up well and pass it around well, but he's going to be going home thinking about these trialists, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think the good thing for John is he's managed to play two different systems. He's had a look at players in different positions within those systems. I think probably all of the trialists will give him something to think about tonight, especially the one in the first half, who we thought did really well.
Yeah, Anthony Mancini, we think that was.
Yeah, I think the only negative is conceding in the last minute of the game. You know, I think they're sort of habits that you don't want to get into, but overall I think he'll be really pleased. As I say, first half I thought the shape was really good, and it's if they can carry that into sort of a league game, if that's the style they're going to play, can they be brave enough to do that in a league game? But I'm sure John will be delighted that most of the players got a good run out and they've performed really well.
And Neil, from a Borough point of view, as the second half was going on, the game, you know, with all the changes, the game sort of just as a spectacle disintegrated. But then the last 10 or 15 minutes, I thought that those Borough youngsters you were talking about, who'd been introduced, really stepped up a bit.
Yeah, they lit the game up a little bit more for us, and we looked bright. We caused them a few problems, and AJ gets his goal, and it's a great finish. But listen, it's a first pre-season game, and I just think as a manager you're looking at that, and yes, you want to win the game, but you're not going to be too disappointed. It's all about getting minutes on the pitch. It's all about the fitness and sharpness. Results only matter when you kick off in the Championship. That's it. Yes, you want to, results build confidence, but I know as a manager he won't be too disappointed. He'll be thinking minutes in the legs, people have got some time on the pitch, we've got another one tomorrow, and that's how he'll see the game.
You enjoyed that, Mickey?
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Good to have you here.
Come every week.
Well, you're going to have to share it out, aren't you, with Craig Hignett and Ben Clark, but still, great debut. Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you very much.
Lovely having your company and your insight tonight. Neil, you were so good, I'm going to let you do it again tomorrow lunchtime. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the York game, because different team. I think we'll see a few more first teamers there. You know, there was quite a few missing tonight, but there'll be a few more, I would say, be on that pitch tomorrow. But as I said, it's another game, minutes into the legs, bit of fitness, and then I think when you get nearer to the time, you'll start seeing the team to develop. You'll start seeing possibly the first team. But I tell you what, there's going to be more incomings and there's got to be more outgoings as well before that happens.
Indeed.
Can I just say, if there's a break in play tomorrow, can I hear some Neil Diamond, because I'll be listening.
Do you know what I wasn't able to say, because obviously, you know, Rob was commentating. I was lucky enough to be at Neil's surprise 50th, and he was the star of the show singing that song, and I filmed him, and I haven't got it anymore.
Oh, you're joking.
Well, obviously you haven't, because if you had stuck that on Twitter...
I did send it to you, though, so if you've still got it, it could still emerge into public view, Mickey.
Obviously, you must have missed me off that VIP list.
Well, you've got to earn it.
Few
Mickey.
years
That's all
ago,
I can say. I might be off it now, though. Swings and roundabouts, Mickey. Swings and roundabouts. Gentlemen, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon, Neil, you and I, at York's LNER Community Stadium. 1 o'clock kick-off. So go and get some rest.
Thank you, Mark.
Some of us are here until 10 o'clock, you know.
Unlucky.
There you go. Neil Madison, I've missed him over the summer. And Mickey Barron, your expert summarisers here tonight on BBC Radio T Sport. A pre-season friendly first of the summer for Pools and the Borough, and it's ended with victory for Hartlepool United.
Proud to support our local football teams.
BBC Radio T Sport.
Well, there were more than 5,000 fans here at the Suit Direct Stadium this evening, and they've seen Hartlepool United beat their championship neighbours Middlesbrough by 2-1.
Middlesbrough almost causing their own problems. Here's the ball, ricochets for Chris Ray. He nutmegs a defender and it's snapped in by Manny Dizarouwe. Welcome to Hartlepool, Manny Dizarouwe. He gets his first goal in blue and white after arriving from Halifax. But the work was done by Chris Ray, who did well to pounce on a defensive mistake by Borough at the back. He nutmegged the defender, put it straight into the 6-yard box, and Dizarouwe had to tap in from about a yard. It's Pools 1, it's Borough 0. Chris Ray able to run at the defence once again though, but Borough getting quickly back in numbers to just mob the man. It might break though for the trialist, who cuts it back to Ferguson and tapped in for 2. Hartlepool United double their lead in a matter of minutes, and once again Manny Dizarouwe heavily involved, and the trialist, who's been busy and been persistent, was able to put it on a plate for David Ferguson, wearing the captain's armband, and was able to side foot home from inside the area. Pools 2, Borough 0. AJ Matthews does well to win it and slots one home, and Middlesbrough have a goal back. It was a defensive mistake, but AJ Matthews did well. He used his strength, he turned into the area, one-on-one with Pete Jameson, and was able to slot it past the Harrogate Loney to give Borough a goal right at the death in this game. A great finish from the youngster, and a moment he will, I'm sure, remember for quite some time.
We're as passionate as you are.
BBC Radio T's Sport.
So that's how it finished this evening here on BBC Radio T Sport. Hartlepool United of the National League beating Championship Middlesbrough by 2-1. Both teams making their first little step on the road to the new football season. Rob Law has headed over to the far side near the dugouts in front of the Cyril Knowles stand to try and get some reaction, which we will hope to bring to you before we leave you at 10 o'clock tonight. Stephen Petty following us here on BBC Radio T's. Still here at Victoria Park, or the Suit Direct Stadium, where the lights have gone out. Floodlights off, lights in the Neil Cooper stand off, just Rob Law and I by the light of a little strip light in the press box here, keeping the whole thing going until 10 o'clock this evening when Stephen Petty takes over. Now Rob has just come back from the far side of the pitch in front of the dugouts, where he's been speaking to the Hartlepool United manager, John Askey.
John, first pre-season friendly done and dusted, and quite a positive start. You must be quite happy with what you've seen.
Yeah, really pleased without getting carried away, but it was a really good workout, and you don't know what to expect first game, especially against obviously such a good team, but no, it's gone well, and everybody's got out of it what we need to get out of it, and just move on now and just keep trying to prepare the best we can for the first game of the season.
You must be pleased with how specifically the new players seemed to gel together. Chris Ray and Manny Dizarouwe up front looked like they played together plenty of times before, and Joel Dixon in goal, very steady, some big saves from him as well. So you must be pleased with the new boys and how they've gelled in. Yeah, they've done well. As I say, it's not easy when you first come to a club, especially, as you say, new partnership. But I thought the two of them did well up front. As you say, Joel, when he was called upon,
did well. And so did Pete setting off, and so yeah, I was pleased, with the lads that have come in, and also the lads that have been with us since I came to the club.
How do you feel about the squad and where it's at the minute in terms of the additions and where you want it to be come the start of the season? How far away is it in terms of that?
Yeah, we still need to make at least 3 or 4 signings. Okay. In various positions, because you need a squad, and if we get any injuries, especially sort of midfield, right back area, then we need these players to be able to come in or even start if they better than what we've got, or the form's better. So yeah, we'll keep working at that, and just keep trying to improve, and hopefully it'll all come together for the first game of the season.
There was one trialist in particular in the first half that there's been grabbing everybody's attention from his performances. What can you tell us about him, and have you seen enough from him in that first 45 to warrant a deal? What do you think?
It's always difficult because, as I say, when you've not seen a great deal of players, obviously you can see that he's got a lot of ability. Whether he'll fit into what we want and how he plays, then we'll have to keep looking. But the signs have been good from what we've seen of him. He's got a good attitude. Obviously, he works hard and he's got ability on the ball. But we just need to see a little bit more.
A couple of absentees tonight with Josh O'Meara, Ewan Murray, Mo Silla as well. What can you tell us on those? Yeah,
Josh, his knees swollen up again, so it wasn't worth risking him. Mo Silla we've not seen since the end of the season, and Ewan, we're just waiting to hear whether what the situation is with Ewan.
So with Mo, I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but if you haven't seen him, that doesn't bode well, does it?
Who, for us or him?
Well, I suppose for the relationship between the two.
It is what it is. We saw last season what he's about. So as I say, while he doesn't turn up, then we don't have to pay him. So that's works out quite well.
And just finally, Nicky Featherstone, can you any update on that situation and how that looks going forward?
Yeah, it's a funny one with Nicky. Obviously, we offered something at the start of the season. His agent didn't come back to us. So, and then in between, obviously, we signed Kieran. So whether we can do anything now, we'll just have to wait and see.
You've just heard from the Hartlepool manager John Askey. Let's hear from the Borough camp now. Riley McGree has been speaking to Rob Law.
Riley, there's nothing like a nice, warm, sunny, pre-season friendly in July, is there? I mean, it was practically biblical at times there.
Yeah, no, it was. Obviously the weather is what it is up this side of the country, but just happy to be back out there. It probably didn't go the way we wanted it to go, but we learn and we move forward.
How are you feeling out there this evening then, given the training in the Algarve and whatnot, and back to it on the grass here in the UK? How are you feeling?
Personally, feeling good in terms of physical, but a little bit frustrated, obviously. Frustrated with what happened, the way we played. In my opinion, it probably wasn't good enough, and I think everyone knows that. So we've got a lot to learn, and it is still pre-season, but these matches are important for us.
And you almost caught the goalkeeper out with a cheeky free kick at the front post there. Talk us through that one, because you almost had him.
Yeah, I think, as a keeper, if you're diving back towards your goal, it's always hard, but fair play to him, he saved it and didn't go in.
And how tricky are these games when you have the amount of changes? It's a real mix of the squad in there, and you have to try and find a way to play together and play cohesively.
I wouldn't say they're tricky. I think that's the point of having these games and having these mixed teams is learning how other players play, and whether it be younger or new signings or whatever it be, these are important, and these are where you build your relationships, and hopefully we've learned a thing or two about ourselves and each other, and we can use that in the games going forward.
And for some of the younger players here, they'll be hoping that they can do what Hayden Hackney did last season, what other players, Dale Fry, have done in seasons gone by, and make that step up and be that next player.
Yeah, absolutely. This is their chance to show what they can bring to this team and show what they're about. And I think there was definitely a few young boys that came on and put themselves about and showed that they're capable of playing in this team. And if they keep continuing going the way they're going, who knows.
And how big was that training camp out in the Algarve and getting together and trying to build that team spirit for what is going to be a big push next season?
Yeah, very important. I think in general we've got a great team spirit off the back of last season, but being in a camp environment is only going to grow that. And obviously the new players coming in, they met us out there, and that's only going to bolster the squad as players, but also off the pitch as individuals and as people, and that's what we can ask for.
And of the new lads who have come in, how are they settling in? How are you finding that?
Yeah, they're settling in very well. I think previously we've had a great core group of players, and coming in personally I found was quite easy. So I'd like to imagine the other boys that are coming in find it smooth enough, and everyone's gets along and very approachable. So yeah.
And in terms of this season and the aims for this season, clearly everybody is going to put Middlesbrough up there as promotion candidates. Clearly that will be the aim, won't it? To hit the ground running and have a strong season.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to aim as high as we can, and that is as high as we can. So, off the back of last season, we'd have no reason not to aim there and be humble about it, but go about our business and hopefully do what we didn't do last season.
Riley McGree there, who was one of Borough's brighter performers in this evening's 2-1 defeat to Hartlepool United. Manny Desiroué and David Ferguson with first half goals for the home side, and AJ Matthews came off the bench and scored in stoppage time for the Borough. More than 2,300 Borough fans here in a crowd of 5,617. Speaking of the way home, pretty much every light inside this ground is out, so it is definitely time for us to be on our way. Thanks for your company tonight here on BBC Radio T Sport. Pre-season underway. I'll be back with you tomorrow lunchtime as Borough go to York City. Have a good evening. Stephen Petty's next.